The meeting is now reconvened to open session. The board would like to remind the public that this meeting is being audio and video recorded and is also available via live stream. The live stream link can be found on the front page of the Rocklin Unified website. We sit here tonight in a unique place. We are in this room as a group with several things in common. We are here most likely because we value public education. We are here because we love children and are engaged in their upbringing. We are here mostly as parents and educators. We are also here as Americans, and equally as important as Rocklin residents. As such, we have a responsibility to the children in our district and to our community to lead by example. This next year, every school in this district will be teaching and celebrating the 250 years of the founding of this great nation. That founding document, the Declaration of Independence, in which we are endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights. The first one of those is life. And we, as the adults, leaders, educators, have a significant responsibility to teach the values and principles that this country was founded upon. Last week, an American, a father, Charlie Kirk, was killed in a political assassination. I want to quote Utah Governor Cox. Our nation is broken. We have had political assassinations recently in Minnesota. We have had attempted assassinations on the governor of Pennsylvania and an attempted assassination on a presidential candidate and former president of the United States and now current president of the United States. Nothing that I can say can unite us as a country. Nothing that I can say right now will fix what is broken. Charlie Kirk was first and foremost a husband and a dad to 2 young children. He believed in the power of free speech and debate to shape ideas and to persuade people. Historically, our university campuses in this nation have been the place where truth and ideas are formulated and debated, and that is what Charlie did. He came to college campuses and he debated. That is foundational to the formation of our country and to our most basic constitutional right. And when someone takes the life of a person because of their ideas or their ideals, then that very constitutional foundation is threatened. I don't care what his politics are. I care that he was an American. End of quote. We need every single person, he continues. We need every single person in this country to think about where we are at and where we want to be, to ask ourselves, is this it? Is this what 250 years has wrought on us? And I pray that that is not the case. I pray that those who hated what Charlie Kirk stood for will put down their social media, pray for his family, and all of us. We'll try to find a way to stop hating our fellow Americans, end of quote. I am confident that here in Rocklin, we can do that. We can find a way to not hate, to not be divisive, to show dignity and respect. The loss of Charlie Kirk hits a little close to home because Charlie had been in Rocklin 3 times in the last few years. He had met with our students. He gave a voice to everyone, including those that he did not agree with. And unfortunately, we had Rocklin Unified graduates witness his horrific assassination. And so tonight, we have the responsibility to honor and respect Charlie Kirk, whose voice was silenced. Whether we agree or not doesn't matter. We honor and respect. He was like each one of us. He was a parent, an American, and frankly, a human being trying to do his very best. We have a responsibility to not tolerate hate and violence, and in reality, those words alone fall short. What steps can we take to actually do more? We can lead by example and teach our children how to respect another's opinion and their right to share that opinion. We can demonstrate the importance of listening, engaging, being tolerant and curious, being kind and respectful. We can embrace our differences without hate and civility and safely discuss them with the purpose just being to understand. Differences are not deficits. We can and have to lead by example how to honor the sanctity of life. Showing respect for the dignity of every person, whether you agree with them or not, is not optional. It is essential. We are in a unique place as Americans, and I am confident that we can do better in Rocklin. We can be hopeful, we can be part of the solution, and we can look for healing. Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you so much. Trustee Hepp, will you please report out action taken in closed session?
No action was taken in closed session.
Thank you. Tonight we have Isabella Oliveras from Rocklin High School. Welcome as our student board representative. I heard some clapping.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, President Price.
Oh, we're so glad to have you. Isabella, will you please introduce the color guard and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the presentation of colors by the Rocklin Unified School District's Junior ROTC Color Guard and Pledge of Allegiance. The commander and U.S. flag bearer for this evening's color guard is Cadet Captain Sophia Burkhalter. The state flag is carried by Cadet Master Sergeant Madison Card. The right guard is Cadet Senior Master Sergeant Evan Lehman. The left guard is Cadet Major McKenna McVicker. The alternate for tonight is Cadet First Lieutenant Michael Matthews.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. We'll now move to item 5.1, special recognition and presentations portion of the meeting. Chief Dosage, will you introduce our family partners in education recognition tonight?
Good evening, President Price, trustees, and Superintendent Stock. The Family Partners in Education program is an opportunity for the Rocklin Unified School District to acknowledge and appreciate family engagement and involvement, thereby supporting our students in achieving excellence throughout the school year. Sierra Elementary School Principal Amy Westberg is introducing the Lee family for tonight's Family Partners in Education recognition.
Thank you. Good evening, President Price, trustees, and Superintendent Stock. It's my pleasure tonight, on behalf of the Board of Trustees, to recognize one of Sierra Elementary's truly outstanding parent volunteers, Amy Lee. I am accessorized by Avery Lee this evening. I was presented with some bracelets and a necklace, so I'd like to point that out as well. I feel truly bedazzled and blessed by these. Amy Lee has been a constant and dependable presence at Sierra week after week, always ready to step in wherever she is needed. She's played a vital role in fundraising for the 5th grade science camp, and not only when her own child attended, but again this year, simply because she wants other students to have the same opportunity. She is the kind of person who notices a need and quietly takes care of it. Like the time she overheard that we were short on playground balls and PBIS reward toys, and just kindly went out of her way to purchase them for us and our students. Beyond that, Amy continually donates her time, classroom supplies, brings thoughtful treats for staff, and even purchases fun activities for students to enrich their classroom experiences. What truly sets Amy apart is the spirit she brings. Her smile is infectious, her attitude is always positive, and her kindness is genuine. That same spirit shines through every person in her family as well. Her 3 children, Emily, Alan, and Avery, are happy, friendly, kind, and they often make handwritten thank you cards for the staff, from giving them to me to instructional aides. Everyone that touches them at the school, they recognize them, and it means so much to us. It's very sweet, and they're just endlessly giving and generous. Amy does not do any of this for recognition, but tonight we are proud to give it to her. Please join us in celebrating Amy Lee for her generosity, her dedication, and the many ways she and her family make Sierra Elementary an even more special place to be.
Hi, Amy. On behalf of the board and the district, we want to present you with this certificate and gift for the family. We're just so thankful for you. Sierra Elementary is such a special school, and you make it more special. Clearly, you are showing appreciation for teachers and staff all the time. You're setting an amazing example for your kids, and so you deserve a little appreciation tonight. So just thank you so much. We really appreciate you.
Chief Nosage, will you please introduce our employee recognition tonight?
President Price, trustees, and Superintendent Stock. Tonight for our employee recognition, Sunset Ranch Elementary School Principal Lori Kircher will join us in introducing Katie Garcia.
Good evening, President Price, Board of Trustees, and Superintendent Stock. Thank you so much for having me here tonight. What an awesome opportunity it is to recognize staff at Sunset Ranch Elementary. I really am excited to share and honor Mrs. Katie Garcia. And Katie, would you come up here with me, please? As you know, we have some pretty incredible employees at Sunset Ranch. It is very challenging to pick just one. Katie makes it easy. It is my honor to highlight her contributions. Katie has served as an intervention aide at Sunset Ranch Elementary in the past 3 years. She's been an integral part of efforts to support students through learning recovery during COVID-related times as well as intervention now. Her work spans kindergarten through 6th grade. She does it all. Her impact on students has been nothing short of remarkable. Katie provides intensive intervention, instruction across all grade levels, helping our youngest learners master things like letter and sound identification, guiding elementary students to summarize text and expand vocabulary, even supporting 6th graders with navigating the challenges of some very complex 6th grade math standards and CPM. She approaches each task with dedication, patience, and skill, ensuring that our students grow academically and gain confidence in themselves. Katie's commitment extends well beyond her former role. She has served as a noon supervision substitute, ensuring student safety and positive interactions during recesses and lunch. She has stepped up as an aide and teacher substitute when needed, always willing to lend a hand. Katie, while a parent at Sunset Ranch, also served as an active and contributing member of our parent-teacher organization, where she volunteered as an event coordinator. She was helping to integrate amazing and engaging, memorable experiences for our families and our students. And as a parent herself in Rocklin Unified, she is supportive and a positive presence, modeling the kind of partnership between home and school that we value so deeply. Simply put, there is nothing Katie is unwilling to do to support the positive growth of our students and the success of our staff. She is dependable, compassionate, and fully invested in the well-being of our school community. Katie represents the very best of what it means to be an educator, a colleague, and a parent leader. She epitomizes what we aspire to achieve in Rocklin Unified. Katie, on behalf of our entire educational partners, we want to thank you for your tireless dedication and the countless ways you contribute to our mission every day. We are so deeply grateful for your service and recognize you this evening.
hang on. This is one of the great benefits. Here you go, hang on to that. This is one of the great benefits of being a neighbor to a great family and seeing Katie, the kids, the entire family, always supportive, always helping out, always jumping in. I will speak for Kenny. Anytime that she volunteers, he volunteers, comes in, helps out, the kids are there. Again, a great family. One of the amazing reasons why, thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting Sunset Ranch. Thank you for always stepping up. Thank you for being a part of the Coyotes. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much to both of you. We would love to have you stay for the rest of our meeting, but we understand that you're busy, so now is a great time to go if you would like. Thank you so much for coming. We'll next move to item 6.1 and welcome our CSEA President Bettina Hart to present the CSEA report.
Good evening. Good evening, President Price, members of the board, Superintendent Stock, Cabinet. At our last board meeting, I had the honor of speaking about our backbone of our district, the unsung heroes of transportation, technology, nutrition services, and maintenance and operations. Tonight, I would like to shine on the same light on another group who is just as vital to the heart and soul of our schools, our front office staff. When you walk into any school, the very first faces you see are the principal secretaries, the clerks, and office staff. They are the ones who greet families, welcome students, support administrators, and manage the never-ending phone calls, tracking attendance, and still find the time to offer a smile and reassurance word to anyone who walks in through those doors. Think about what it takes to open a school each year. Enrolling hundreds of students, processing paperwork, answering questions from parents who are nervous about the first day, and making sure that every schedule, every roster, every file is in place before the first bell rings. During registration season, they're the ones who stay late, double-checking every detail and ensuring no student falls through the cracks. And with the rapid growth in the Whitney Ranch area, this has been especially true. Principal Secretary Yvonne from Valley View, Principal Secretary Cachet from Sunset Ranch, Principal Secretary Liz from Quarry Trail, and Principal Lisa from Twin Oaks. They work together to register and find a placement for all those new families moving into Rocklin. Their love for students and their collaborative spirit are a big part of why Rocklin is such a sought-after district to attend. At Antelope Creek, Principal Secretary Connie has gone above and beyond in helping with registration and the onboarding for the Spark for Arts program, ensuring smooth process for student, families, and staff. And beyond that, our clerks. Also supporting teachers and families with independent study, making sure all contracts are signed, putting together packets for the students, and everything is returned and processed correctly. Their careful attention ensures that students can continue learning smoothly and teachers can focus on instruction. There are problem solvers, peacekeepers, and the glue that holds our schools together. While much of their work is behind the scenes, the impact is felt in every classroom, every student, and every teacher. So tonight, I just want to say thank you to them, to our secretaries, the clerks, and the front office, who make sure that our schools open each morning, who make sure, our schools are open each morning, who help calm nervous parents, who keep our records straight, who manage independent studies, and who will do it all with a professionalism, patience, and heart. They are truly the unsung heroes and the backbone of the district, and I'm honored to recognize them this evening. And before I close tonight, I want to take a moment to thank you, my boss, our Senior Director of Facilities and Maintenance of Operation, Craig Rouse. Years ago, I was a special education aide at Whitney High School, and I used to get these emails from this Craig guy reminding us to clean our refrigerators and unplug everything before our breaks. And I remember thinking, who is this guy? Fast forward a few years, and just over 3 years ago, I had the honor of sitting in on an interview at Maintenance Operations for the department secretary position. I was so nervous that I giggled through the whole entire interview, and I walked out thinking I completely bombed it. But before I even made it back to Whitney, you called me and saying that I nailed it and that I got the job. That opportunity changed my life and the path of my career, and I will be so grateful to you that everything that you saw in me, even when I didn't see it myself at the moment. You have also been one of the biggest supporters to CSEA. You gave us strength, you gave me strength to step into this role as chapter president, and for that, I will be always thankful. Before each board meeting, I would always talk about how nervous I was feeling, and you always say, to help me calm my nerves by giving me some advice. Take your time talking, make sure you make eye contact, and it's okay to giggle. You never took credit for many in-house jobs and projects that we oversaw. Instead, you always highlighted the work of classified staff and reminded us that we are what make this district what it is today. One of the most valuable lessons I've learned from you is how to always find a yes. Even when the answer seems like it would be a no, you've shown me how to look for other paths, another solution, another way forward. I've carried that lesson into my work when I work with HR, into collaborations with fellow members, and into my everyday approach as a leader. You have impacted me, and so many others you have worked with in so many countless ways. So tonight, I want to thank you, not only for myself, but on behalf of all classified staff, for believing in us and reminding us that we are the backbone of this district. Thank you. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Bettina, thank you so much. I already have my heart a little bit in my throat tonight, so I appreciate how sincere your words always are, and that was such a beautiful tribute to Craig, who we will really miss. We're so going to miss having you and appreciate your service so much. Bettina, thank you also for being just such a great cheerleader to your employees. I know that they feel that support from you, so thank you. Now, Travis Moget from RTPA President will present the RTPA report. Welcome.
So normally it's just me clapping for me, so love you guys. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to say welcome back. I know you've been back, but I wasn't able to come to the last board meeting. It's flag football season, so my days are busy. Started with 0 period with our new criminal justice class or administrative justice class this morning at 7 a.m. and haven't been home since, and here I am. So shout out to my family enjoying some barbecue without me tonight. So I want to start off with some positives. First off, we welcomed more than 40 new teachers into the district this year, which was awesome. Year started out great. We have a great partnership with new teacher induction. Mr. Flowers and I work closely on that one. Bill's also a big part of that. But just keeping us looped in, making sure that we have dedicated time to come in as union leadership and talk to those teachers. And what's really cool is to hear why people are coming to Rocklin, right? And they come because we're an excellent district. We provide top-notch education. We have lots of things that others around us envy. And for a self-brag, they come because we have strong union relationship with our district, and we have strong union representation when we don't have strong union relationship with our district. And I think that speaks to both sides of the table, that we're doing things that members and people around us want to be a part of. Also want to, and I mentioned this before in conversation with many around the district, but it keeps coming up as I've had some opportunities to do some site visits at the elementary level this semester, which I didn't get a lot of opportunities last year. Kate Kirk normally fills in that role for us. But time and time again, as we're visiting elementary sites this year, we're hearing about all the positives as we changed our Meet the Teacher and Back to School night at the elementary level at the beginning of the year. And the revamp of that event has been overwhelmingly positive. And just huge shout out. I know Bill was instrumental in that. We have a team working with Bill. I don't know if you guys meet weekly or at least every other week. And all positive things have come out of that. And it, you know, if we're being totally honest, it hasn't been a smooth process every step of the way, but it's always been a successful process. And just kudos to Bill, Heather Winter, and Kate Kirk, who are all a part of that process on a regular basis. And it's fun to see the other people in the building squirm. I know Tony and I have our opportunities to squirm more than we care to sometimes, but it's great to see because that squirm turns into productivity, right? And it turns into progress and it turns into opportunities for everybody. So kind of along those lines, we kick off the school year on a positive note. Everybody's excited as typical when we get back with kids. And unfortunately, it was like day one, hour one, that the frustration started coming in, right? I'm in the job of the complaint industry. Like Tony and I have our little pity parties together every once in a while about how we get all the fun phone calls. And while it's expected, the frustrations I just want to share with you board members, these are things I've shared with all the parties involved, but just so we're all on the same page, you guys know I'm a person of transparency whenever possible, is simple little things, right? These are the silly things that people in the classroom don't want to have to think about, but they just want to come in and be with kids. Things like our printer. We wanted to lock down our printers and make things more secure, and we did. They're so secure that we're still having trouble accessing them, right? And we know that there's always a learning curve with new things. But it's the frustrations that are still happening now that we're, a few weeks into school. And the systems that are in place just aren't quite working. And I want to give a huge shout out to Superintendent Stock because I reached out to him pretty quickly on topics around technology frustrations and facility frustrations. And I think it was within a few days we had all the people we needed in a room having a conversation. And that conversation was helpful, but it still hasn't resolved anything. Well, not anything, everything. And the issues keep coming up. And the problem and the consistent thing I want to relay to you board members that I keep hearing from membership is I'm tired of submitting a ticket, right? Almost to the point where it's become comical. And I don't mean that disrespectfully, but whether it's technical issues, it's facilities issues. If you don't know anything about CO2, I can tell you a lot. Tony and I have become quasi-CO2 experts in the last couple of weeks. And these are all things that we should be dealing with, especially in the first week of school. And as educators, none of us got into the business to be technology people or facilities people. So I'm going to ask you board members to just help where you can and support those issues so we are getting them resolved and not just kind of beating that horse or spinning our wheels as it feels at times. Because putting in a ticket isn't a good answer. And if you don't believe me, come to my site. I'll walk you around. Come to any site. I'll walk around with you. But telling somebody that just put in a ticket and we'll get it taken care of, that doesn't work. Julie, I know you're in the classroom, so you know when you need things, you need things. Whether it's you need a comfortable environment for learning or you just need access to your materials, we need to do better. Again, we talk about all the time excellence in education. That starts with the support services, and we know they're doing their best, but we need more resources there if that's what it's going to take. And I know as a board, you have the ability to authorize those things if that's what the need is. We need to find better ways to just be more efficient in that process and communication. And I think a lot of it comes down to a constant denominator here is that inability to communicate sometimes. Putting in a ticket, if that's the response to issues, it's so impersonal. It's so send off an email, fingers crossed you might hear if something's going to happen. And so again, kudos to Superintendent Stock and the team we met with because we've talked about some ideas and some things that we can do to move that conversation forward. But nonetheless, the frustration's still there, right? It's still, I put in a ticket myself yesterday with a smile on my face because I know I'm going to put in a ticket, somebody's going to ask me if I can print, and the technical answer is yes, but the 15 minutes and 17 steps it takes to do it isn't the right answer, right? So those kinds of things. Next thing I want to bring up is there's been a lot of conversation on sites, mine included, but I know every site, and it's kind of a weird conversation that's happening, and I say weird because the context of it is positive, but the how and the why and the rationale of the now is the questions I'm going to ask you, board members. If you're able to respond, I really appreciate it. If not, please send something when you can. But I don't, and don't quote me on this because I don't remember the timeline. I believe it was late spring. The board authorized roughly $5 million for facility improvement around the district. Campus beautification, I think, is the term that we keep hearing. And again, I'm roughly trying to remember the conversation. The questions that keeps coming out of that, though, is one is the timing. It's no surprise to the people that have been paying attention to Rocklin that we are not in a good spot relationally. There were some things shared last spring that kind of unraveled some of the efforts we had put in labor management and with our negotiations process, and we're kind of back to the traditional side of that process. So that said, when the board's authorizing, and don't quote me on this, I apologize if I'm misquoting the number, but roughly $5 million around the district for campus beautification, why now? If we're going into a year where we all know that there's going to be a contentious negotiation, we're already kind of in that process, there's offers on the table that are far apart, is this the time to be taking money from wherever it's coming from, which is the second question, where is the money coming from? What isn't getting done, or what else could it be used for? I don't think there's any question that campuses couldn't use improvements, facilities, beautification-wise, but is the time appropriate given the circumstances? Another question on that topic is some of those conversations now getting down to the micro level at certain campuses. If the funds were authorized by the board for campus beautification, then why are safety-related items in the conversation? I'll use my high school as an example since I'm part of that conversation and can speak firsthand. But Whitney High School has one of the options some of this money could be spent on is getting functioning door locks. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sit on the safety committee. I thought safety was something we just took care of. Not something that we're going to debate and decide, are we going to put in new concrete or are we going to fix the door locks so our campuses are secure? So those kinds of questions keep coming up on more than my campus, and that's something I'm hoping we can get some answers on. I know safety is something that we never debate. We are all on the same page there, and it's just a matter of what are the priorities at the given time because of the resource limitations. So again, these are areas that I'm hoping that we can empower our administration teams that are having these conversations at the site level. I know there's PTC groups that are also engaging in these activities or these conversations now, and so the questions aren't just coming from RTPA, but that is one that our members have asked a lot about is why do I have to prioritize campus beautification or campus safety? That just doesn't seem like the right conversation for those two things. Additionally, I alluded earlier that there's no doubt in my mind that this is going to be a rough negotiation. I think it is what it is. Like I said, the offers on the table are on opposing ends of where things are and where people need to be. So one of the questions that's come my way more than once is, why are we here again? Why does Rocklin Unified always have to get to this, oh, well, we're in the cycle, yep, we knew it was going to happen, the good times end, now we got to fight to get what our employees deserve and what our families, meaning my family as an employee of Rocklin, need? Right? Why does it take that for Rocklin to do what Rocklin's capable of, and more importantly, Rocklin has the resources to do? We always hear, like I mentioned earlier, about people coming to Rocklin because of the excellence in the classroom, the excellence in the community, right, all around us, but we don't hear about people coming to Rocklin because we're the best paid. We don't hear about people coming to Rocklin because we have the best benefits. Well, if we're top in the other categories, why aren't we top in all the categories? Just going to let that simmer, because that's a question I need answered on behalf of every employee in this district. The question that follows that is, why does it have to be a divisive conversation? I can't tell you how many times on a campus I can have a conversation. I have a pretty good relationship with management around the district, at least in my perception. And for the most part, the common conversation or comment I get from management when it comes to contentious times is, why would I get in the way of RTPA? Why wouldn't I support you guys? We get what you get. Do you know how frustrating it is that they get what we get? I'm not saying they don't deserve it, but why does it come to contentious realities for us to get progress or get what people in our district need? And why does RTPA have to continue to be the bad guy that everybody else rides the coattails of? I know in our bargaining conversations, we have talked about Me Too for years and how unfair we believe it is, because I stand up here and get all the names, and I know it was mentioned in your comments before the meeting started about social media not being a positive thing in the world, especially right now. And I know you board members, we sat through COVID together, many of us, and that was not friendly to any of us on social media as well as in this room. So why do we create a divisive environment? Why do we have to be a divisive relationship so we can get people what we need? That's what my members need answered, and until I can answer that, I'm going to keep looking to you guys for support. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I just want to say a few things, Travis. First of all, thank you for being, it sounds like, a great listener to a lot of the frustrations that are coming your way, and also recognizing that there is a learning curve with a whole lot of systems, and I appreciate you also acknowledging that people are doing their best. It's been very clear, all of us, and especially I'll speak on behalf of the board, value safety. We sit on the safety committee, you and I do together. I'm going to ask Superintendent Stock to, maybe he can clearly explain that where the facility money comes from is different. And we as a board actually do feel like the time is appropriate. We have facilities that need some work, and I know our teachers feel that and acknowledge that. So Superintendent Stock, could you address that specific question, please?
Yes. There was approximately $5.1 million authorized by the board for schools to use for facility improvements. It could be beautification, could be other things that they deem as necessary one-time projects. Those funds came out of the district's reserve, so they're one-time funds, and hence they're one-time facility projects. At the same time, the board also authorized $1.5 million for safety needs. This is in addition to the normal safety work that goes on, and so the board authorized all of that out of a one-time reserve that the budget reserve the district has.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. We will now move, unless anybody else has any
Sorry, can I
comments?
ask a clarifying question? I know I sat down, that's... Superintendent Stock, if this isn't you, if you can answer it right now, that's fine, but just so it's here on the record. So I heard you say there's 5.1 in one bucket, 5.1 in another, right?
1.5.
Sorry,
and 5.1, yeah.
yes. So the question I'm still looking to be answered is why, to what appears to, and maybe it's just perception, but what appears to be from the classroom teacher RTPA side of the table, why are campus beautification monies being spent on what that 1.5 safety dollars should be covering? Door locks is my example. Door locks is not campus beautification. The fact that I can't secure my classroom. Sorry.
So the funds given to the sites was on a formula, and it wasn't just beautification. There was a multitude of categories that sites could come together with their parent staff and say, we'd like to address a long-term need that never seems to get to the top because we do a lot of like replacing HVAC and painting schools, but there might be some enhancements that would help our school facilities. So I know we use beautification, but that's just one possible category. Regards to the locks, this is why the board also allocated an additional $1.5 million was to address looking at safety needs. And based on the assessments that the board authorized, training, there's physical safety pieces like locks, and there's also potentially some technology pieces as well. So those pieces will go to the safety committee and then to the board for discussion this fall. And then there's another piece like door locks. So what we're talking about at Whitney High School is the school was built with a fob system relying on electronic components. Over 20 plus years, those components begin to fail. So the district's in the process of looking to rekey the school with traditional keys because those are fail-safe. So the district has a multitude of different funding sources it can look to for expenses like that. One could be one-time funds. Another is the district also is required by statute to take 3% of its expenditures and put it into deferred maintenance. And so those types of expenditures, for example, could come out of a deferred maintenance, like a replace in kind. So the idea that we need to rekey the locks at Whitney High School is appropriate, and those are the conversations on, what will that funding source be? What will the timing be? We are doing replacements as needed as things break, but as far as an overall keying, that we are planning to do. So things like safety like that we're looking not to have to come out of the school's allocation of those one-time funds, but looking at what are deferred maintenance funds that we have, what are some of the safety funds that can do that. Because we agree, like you said, that safety is a top priority and work to make that happen. And we did do rekeying at Rocklin earlier and because of that need. So we agree that we are working on that, replacing the fobs with a hard key system.
And if I,
Yeah, go ahead.
If I could add to that, you know, we were really clear as a board that we wanted there to be separate dollars for safety as opposed to these projects for the campuses, because we didn't want those dollars to either not get used, right, on safety projects that need to be done. We don't want to not address our safety, but we also recognize that there's projects that our campuses have needed for years. And it was actually at a pretty lengthy board study session that we opened to the public that I had some staff reach out to me and say, hey, before you identify my needs on my campus, could you instead allocate dollars and allow us to have that ability to identify what our campus needs are? Because we started to see across the board things like playgrounds on our elementary campuses. They weren't safe for our students. And so we do have some minor repair funds ongoing in our ongoing budget, but the reality is there was such a great need there. And so what we decided to do instead as a board in that board study session is say, we will allocate a specific set of money for safety. So that way campuses know we are going to be doing safety projects. The safety committee will address those. The remaining dollars that we set aside of these one-time funds, we wanted to allow the campuses, by request of staff, to be able to make those decisions. So I think what you're seeing right now, we ask that be expedited, but at least be allowed to have input from staff and parents and students. And I actually saw Whitney High put out, I think, is it tonight? It looks like they're doing a meeting to say, hey, we want to hear specifically what our Whitney High needs. I don't think it would be appropriate for a board member to try to identify all of these campuses, what their needs are. So it was actually by request of staff that I responded to and said, let's go ahead and allocate the dollars based off of age, based off of need that we're hearing, but let's allow the sites and the staff to make the decision for what they need best. So we're operating off of that. We've allocated the dollars for us to now hopefully hear back what you and the staff of your sites feel are the greatest needs.
Yeah, and I think, if I may, I think the concern is that it's the older sites that are feeling that they're having to decide, we're an older site, I got to fix the playground, safety didn't cover that, so now we can't repaint the blacktop, or whatever the give and take is. That's the conversations that are happening is, sir, I totally hear you. I know that's where I work. Whitney High School has old door locks, they're antiquated, et cetera. But Rocklin High doesn't have that problem, so now they get to beautify more where we're having to pick, well, we can be safe and secure because the safety money isn't going to be enough. Otherwise, why wouldn't it have been addressed? And if it is, why are we talking about it in those forums that you're referencing, involving staff, involving community, and whatever? It's on the list, so that to us says it's something we have to pay for out of this money.
And again, what we're in the process is the board made the authorization late spring, end of May meeting. We knew, obviously, folks are home for the summer, families are, staff is. So what we wanted was a couple things to occur. One is give the opportunity for school communities to come together, identify. The other piece is with the safety is reaching out and really, Mr. Flowers working a lot with the assessments, the training, Mr. Rouse on some of the facility needs, Mr. Johnson on some of the technology needs to say, what are those different needs? What are recommendations we have related to that? Let's hear. So I know Mr. Flowers put out a request to some of our principals saying, what are some of those safety pieces that are rising up so that we can look at saying, okay, what are the different funding streams that we can use? We want to keep as much of the funds that the board authorized to sites for what they identify and not have it be used for safety as much as possible with that $1.5 million. And, for example, the Whitney key locks, we're looking at using some deferred maintenance funds to do that. So we actually, do not anticipate a lot of that cost to come out of, like the Whitney allocation. And the board did use a methodology on the allocations that was mentioned to look at size of school, like high schools got more than elementary. The age of schools, older schools tend to need more love and care, like Quarry Trail doesn't need as much as anybody else, being very new. And then also looking at also the different unduplicated pupil count, just to look at the ability of different communities to help do additional things to support their schools. So the example of that piece is that we're looking at what are all the needs and how do we assemble the best funding stream possible with what we have already in the budget, deferred maintenance, the safety, And then if there's additional pieces that may look at what the school sites have. So we do not anticipate that the cost of the locks will come out of Whitney's allocation or any significant portion of it. But we don't have all those pieces in to make sure we've addressed everything. Because the worst thing we can do is hear a couple needs and not hear them all, and then we made decisions. So that's where we're taking our time to gather all this, bring it together. All the safety pieces will go to the safety committee that, as you heard, trustees and you and others, and the police chief who's here somewhere, sit on to look at that to make sure it's at the right mix. If there's other needs that need to be addressed outside that funding, what are our opportunities to do that? So you're right, we're right in the midst of all that, and you know, then the board has expressed the same urgency that you have around, you know, let's get going.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, we'll now move to item 7.1, comments and report from our student board representative. Isabella, before you get started, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi everyone, I'm Isabella Olivares and I am the ASB president at Rocklin High School. I have been invested in our ASB program since my freshman year, so this is my 4th year in here. I'm also invested in our yearbook program and our photojournalist program. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Great,
Thank
we're
you
so
so
glad
much.
to have you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, we get started. At Sunset Ranch, they're looking forward to gathering input from all their stakeholders for the one-time site improvement funds. Also, their PBIS reward system is well underway. Students are looking forward to their annual prize redemption kickoff event in October. Their student leadership team has been working hard to identify students who put the I in kind as they look to recognize this trait in their fellow peers. Lastly, their first book fair is almost here. Students and families will enjoy family night on Tuesday, September 23rd. Springview Middle School is hosting their 3rd annual family picnic on Friday, September 19th. At Quarry Trail, students and families are looking forward to the annual PTC-sponsored movie night on September 26th. This is also the start of their fall book fair, where students enjoy shopping for new books to add to their home library while supporting the addition of books for their school library. Finally, the 6th grade students are getting ready for a science camp at Sly Park. Rock Creek is looking forward to cross-country season's upcoming meets and getting school-wide intervention underway now that their baseline assessments are finished. The year is off to a great start, and they are excited to host their annual grand event, which extends a special lunch invitation to their Red Hot grandparents and special guests for a VIP shopping experience at their fall book fair on September 25th. And the 6th graders are looking forward to their annual Sly Park trip the week of October 6th. Valley View is rocking and rolling up here on the hill. PTC is hosting their first annual family picnic this Friday, and the response has been amazing. They have close to 300 parents and family members who can't wait to join their kids for lunch. It's a huge step in building their school community. They will be starting their school-wide Win What I Need blocks where grade level students get targeted instructions in providing extra practice, a bit of help, or a challenge to push them forward. The cross-country team is lacing up for a fun season ahead, and the 6th graders are counting down the days until they get to explore the world at their science camp at the end of September. As you can tell, they have lots of fantastic things happening here. Whitney High School wrapped up the 9th grade suicide prevention presentations presented by their counseling department. They had the fall blood drive on September 16th, and they're getting ready for their club rush September 18th with 80 clubs. Last but not least, students are preparing for their homecoming on October 10th. At Twin Oaks, Mondays continue to bring excitement with their Snowy King tradition, a weekly highlight that students look forward to. The 5th and 6th grade students are engaging in an important lesson titled Words Matter, led by their counselor and principal, which helps them understand the power of language and respectful communication. They are also thrilled to have high school interns who are providing a positive presence on campus and serving as wonderful role models for students. PBIS is in full swing. Students are eagerly earning Wolf Bucks and choosing to spend them on class rewards and theme days. We love seeing students think of their classmates when selecting rewards, ensuring everyone is included in the celebration. Cobblestone Elementary has a lot planned. A new mural is going up in the front of the school. A movie night is scheduled, and Sammy Circuit is coming to the school to motivate and encourage their students to be kind, be fit, and give it their all in their upcoming jogathon. They have an amazing PTC that is making this all happen. Their school counselor has been presenting lessons to upper grade students on Words Matter, and TK students are getting ready to start an extended day. Their intervention program has begun providing small group instruction to all students 4 days a week, addressing key skills identified by staff. And from Cobblestone's principal, Miss Goddard. Cobblestone is extremely proud to have Isabella, a Cobblestone alumni, serve as a student rep on the school board. At Sierra, they just kicked off their big PTC Fund Run fundraiser, focusing on students' leadership skills as they gear up for a great run to support all the enhancements Sierra's PTC provides to make Sierra an even better place to learn and swim. Sierra staff and students started Shark Shuffle this week, which is the time of day when sharks get what they need to continue their academic journey from where they are. They are excited to see their Sharks' academic growth this year. Rocklin High School is ready to bolt up as we prepare to host the 15th annual Corey Bowl varsity football game against Whitney High School on Friday, October 3rd. That evening's athletic contest will not consist of annual Corey Bowl. Not only consists of the annual Corey Bowl varsity football game at 7:30 p.m., but the third annual Battle for the Belt varsity girls flag football contest, which will begin at 5:45 p.m. The very next week will be our Pixar Presents themed homecoming, which will consist of a number of fantastic activities and events throughout the week, such as float construction, daily lunchtime activities, and the annual homecoming rally, our varsity football game, and finally, the homecoming dance on Saturday, October 11th. And last but not least, at Breen Elementary, TK has been learning about colors and shapes. They will end the month learning about apples and will make applesauce and apple pies. The third graders at Breen just had their first visit to the garden where they saw pumpkins growing in the patch. They learned the importance of just the right amount of water, not too much and not too little. They saw a lot of aphids and they got to smell basil. They loved it. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Item 7.2, next comments from the board and the superintendent. Trustees, do you have any board comments you would like to share?
All right, I would like to start by saying welcome, Isabella. It's so wonderful to have you.
Thank you so much.
And great job on your report.
Thank you.
It's always so fun to hear all the things that are going on the campuses, and I'm really looking forward to getting to know you better.
Yes, you as well. Thank you so much.
And then I just also wanted to say how much I've enjoyed working with Craig. When I first joined the board, my first tour was of maintenance and operations. And I went out there and was thoroughly impressed by how you ran everything, and was right in the middle of COVID, and you were on top of everything, and you had everything laid out so nicely, and every minute since then, it has been a pleasure working with you. Yeah. And it was lovely to hear comments from Bettina on that as well. And Bettina, you are so eloquent. I don't know why you would ever be nervous to come up to the mic. You do such a wonderful job, and I would love to be represented by someone like you who comes up and just sings the praises of the people who work so hard. And you are so right about the front office staff. When I first started teaching, I was told the people you want to make the closest friends with are the custodians and the secretaries. They run the school. And yes, they do run the school. They do every possible job. So thank you for highlighting them. I'm sure they appreciate it, and I know we appreciate being reminded. Lots of things happened this month, or just since the last board meeting. And my heart is very full and very heavy. And I just want to say that I just hope that on all of our campuses, we lead with love, and we lead with kindness, and we lead with respect. And I know that that is the norm on our campuses, and I appreciate that that is the norm on the campuses. And I just think we can all be reminded of that.
Great job. Excellent work. I know, was it two and a half pages, something like that?
Yeah, thank you so much.
it's amazing looking out over the years, different student trustees come up, and it was notes and this and that, and it's just really cool that you guys are here, you do that presentation, and I will say this is good for this year, and we'll have to hit them up, but great that you get the audience participation, the clap afterwards. That is amazing, so we'll keep that going. So
Thank you so much.
Looking forward to, I guess, hearing back on all the facilities projects, the items, the things that come out of the conversations each of the campus. I know Whitney was tonight. I saw it, and it was, balancing schedules, but it's great that, again, being up here for a while, you hear, when you talk to people in the community, you see things, oh, I wish we had, Derek, how come we can't get, oh, how come this isn't a priority in that? So it was great to kind of circle that, finish that off, and be able to get some funding to the schools, to the respective sites, and have the parents, the community, the teachers, the staff, the PTCs sit down and prioritize and figure out, hey, this is really important for us, because I can tell you there's many conversations that come up where it's like, well, let's do this and let's do that. It's great to hand it off, let them figure out what's a real priority, and hopefully get all that, to see the project, construction, all those improvements made. So I'm looking forward to hearing about that. I will say my selfless plug to the Reef Starlight Soiree that's coming out on October 9th. Please attend, please buy tickets, please support. Sincerely appreciate that. Great to hear about the club rush, the activities, the athletics, and the events that are going on at all our schools. So again, just great to hear about that. And as you said, I look forward to going to the different events, seeing the kids, seeing how it all comes together. I really do believe that it's tough. We'll all work through it, but I think I have trust and faith in our USD and our kids and our staff, and I think we will rise and be a beacon of light, or what other districts look to be. And then finally, Craig, thank you. Thank you appreciate the leadership, the time. I can tell you, I will apologize for my random texts over the years of looking for things and asking questions. I sincerely appreciate, hey, Derek, you got to look at this, see this, understand these pieces. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your teams. Thank you for all those things that Patina, your staff do to keep the lights on, to keep the doors open, to keep everything running so that in the morning, everything's open up and rock and roll, ready to go. So thank you for that. Go ahead.
Well, I definitely want to second everything you said, Julie, and it is wonderful to have you here, Isabella.
Thank you so
much, Craig. I did kind of write some things down that are outside of my usual trustee comments, just because there was a lot of community discussion going on over the last week related to the moment of silence that was held at tonight's meeting. And I don't want to talk about that, but I do want to call attention to the fact that I think we're all hurting right now. We've experienced some immense tragedy in our country, some horrific events, and when I scrolled on my Instagram stories last week, I was just hit by this outpouring of emotions from all of these people that I've met through all eras of my life, right? And I'm sure a lot of you guys saw the same thing. And I saw a lot of pain and sadness and anger and despair and frustration and fear. And I think right now we're all carrying the weight of our own hurt right now, and we're also bearing this heaviness of the hurt that others are feeling too. I think we all get asked a lot, just, how are you? How's the family? And that just feels like a loaded question right now. I don't know if I'm the only one that feels that. Good, right? The kids are doing great and work's fine and we're out trying to do fun stuff. I don't know. But at the same time, I know I'm just walking through these days with just a pit in my stomach, just a feeling of dread. Thankfully, in these current events, we've mostly been shielded from images of children who have been victims of gun violence. That wasn't the case for the murder of Charlie Kirk. My husband said, please, just whatever you do, don't watch it. I didn't. But I know we have kids in Rocklin Unified who did, some even accessing it on their phones, maybe before they could get guidance from an adult. they couldn't possibly comprehend what they were about to see. And these kids are going to school each day, and our teachers are there to meet them. And our teachers use such care and thoughtfulness in helping our students learn about these events and navigate through bad things that happen around us. And they do this with such professionalism while they're processing their own human emotions and existing within a seemingly impossible political climate. They're wonderful, and they're doing a really hard job right now. Marin's teacher told her about a book called September 12th, We Knew Everything Would Be All Right. It's illustrated by first graders, and it talks about how Americans came together in the wake of the 9/11 attack. And I remember that feeling of unity, too. I was a senior at Rocklin High School at that time, so again, thank you, teachers. I want to get back to that connectedness again, and I really hope I'm not the only one, because the alternative to that feels really scary. I think if we go out seeking connectedness right now, we might not find it, but I think we can create it. And I know what I'm going to do is go out and really see the people around me and try to understand and validate people's feelings, my neighbors and friends and family and social media people who I haven't seen in a while. I don't know. What I do know is I am not the left. Like, these people are not the right. None of us want to be put in a box like that, right? Each of us is a human being, and we contain multitudes, and I'm not going to close myself off to that truth, okay? I also want to add, it's September is Suicide Awareness Month. If you're a student who's struggling, if you're a parent who's concerned that your child is struggling, we have resources on every single campus to help. So please do not hesitate to make that call or send that email. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the comments I've heard so far. It's they've been moving in a variety of ways. First, I'd like to appreciate Isabella, though. It's no easy task to come up here and really be the communicator for every one of our schools, and yet you did an incredible job, Isabella, tonight. And I just have to say, Cobblestone turns out great students. My daughter also went to Cobblestone, and so it is great to see you here tonight. And I just want you to know we really champion you being up here and being a voice for students, because I think it's really important that we have you here.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate all of you guys. And yeah, I love Cobblestone. I love that I get to be a alumni there. My little brother goes there. My mom's on the PTC, so it's great. Yeah.
Okay, so one day, little brother, no pressure, but maybe you'll be up here too, right? But I do think it's so important, right, to make sure that we have students that are involved in sharing with us things that we may not hear and we may not see. So I really appreciate you being up here, Isabella. Okay, a couple things I wanted to just share for a minute as well. I just wanted to say appreciation to our president for her leadership tonight. It is not easy when you are representing thousands of students and families and staff, and I think you led with beautiful grace tonight, and so I just want to say a thank you. I know that's no easy task being president, so I appreciate you and your grace and your care and your concern for the board, our staff, our community as a whole. I appreciate you, President Price. With that, I found myself at loss multiple times, wanting to prepare comments, not really knowing for sure what to say. But I think everything that's been said tonight has been so beautiful. I do think it's important. It's important that we recognize the last few weeks have been very heavy for many of our students, our parents. I see students in the audience right now shaking their head. It's been heavy for me as an adult. I couldn't imagine walking through what our students are walking through, and they've seen and heard a lot. We've seen horrific murders. We've seen stabbings. We've heard of shootings. We've seen the assassination of an individual that many of our students were a part of his campus clubs the last few years, and it's heartbreaking to them. My phone was ringing from parents asking, what do I say? What do I do? And then we have 9/11. That may we never forget the incredible tragedy and the weight of that. And I know as a mom, I found myself at a loss for words and just sat with my kids and just hugged them. And I echo the words of wanting to find peace and wanting to find acceptance for difference of opinion. But I also think it's important to realize I had many families reach out to me with students that are very concerned, legitimately concerned what would happen to them if they voiced a difference of opinion than their peer. What would happen to them if they voiced a difference of opinion in their classroom, with their friends outside of school. The weight of that, there's a heavy reality to that. And I think it's important that we as adults model really well the importance of respecting difference of opinion and recognizing that we may not all agree, but it is definitely our responsibility to show respect and to model respect. And so I appreciate the many teachers that handled that very difficult moment well. I was navigating it with my kids. I couldn't have imagined navigating it with tens, hundreds of students on your campus. So I just want to say a heartfelt thank you. I know it hasn't been easy. But I appreciate the work to respect our students as they process through some of these really heavy and deep moments. With that, I heard tonight about 80 campus clubs on one school. Was that Rocklin High?
That was both Whitney and Rocklin High.
Okay,
So each school has 80 plus clubs.
Wow. I think what clubs for my children have been such an incredible opportunity for them to connect, for them to release, for them to be there, to find new gifts, talents, and abilities, and also to be able to be an expert in some gifts, talents, and abilities. When math might be difficult, sometimes being the expert in the room in your club can give you that little oomph of confidence when you go back to that next math class. And so thank you for highlighting that. I think clubs are a very important thing for our students, and I love to see that our district values that. I know I had some students reach out to me to ask if the board or the district is changing clubs or doing away with clubs. Absolutely not. I'm a huge supporter and proponent of clubs. I think they're incredibly healthy for our students' mental health. And so I appreciate you highlighting that tonight, Isabella. I will say I did hear some comments tonight that at the moment I wasn't going to address, but I do think it's important that I just make comment to them. Comments like, this is going to be a rough negotiation, and now we gotta fight to get what our family needs. Please know that's not my hope. That's not my heart. That's not my desire. I think now more than ever is an opportunity for adults to come together and to look at the facts of the matter and to work together. We have enough divisiveness in this world. I am a huge proponent of appreciating and supporting our staff and teachers, and I'm finding every way I can do that. I would hope that we can work together on agreements and conversations because our students are dealing with a lot as it is. And in many ways, they need the adults to come together to find some solutions. And I have had a lot of questions, and so I just want to make sure there's clarification tonight before we move on with the night. I continue to hear that Rocklin has resources and unlimited resources. Oh, I wish that were the case. I wish that were, and I look for them. I try to find them. I look under every rock. Superintendent Stock, can you please clarify for the public listening in what the COLA was from the state of California?
The state in this 2025-2026 budget authorized a 2.3% COLA, which is the equivalent of 2.3% of ongoing revenue for the district.
Mm-hmm. I wish it were higher. I'm doing everything I can outside of this room to get that as high as it can be. That is a fact. It is a reality that, unfortunately, when we receive a low COLA from the state, that means we receive low funds. We receive lower supplemental funds than the districts around us because the state does not identify our need to be as great as other districts around us. It puts us in a very difficult position. I hope moving forward we can look at that. I'm open to every idea and suggestion, but I am hopeful that we can do so not in a fight, but in a way that looks at the facts and we find good, healthy solutions for our students, because I really think that's everybody's desire. With that, I also want to highlight, I know safety was brought up. I too sit on the safety committee, and I think we have so many things, man. I try to keep my own plate spinning, and I like to make sure our parents and staff know October 13th is our next safety committee meeting. Our hope is that we will be able to finalize some decisions. This will be a meeting that people come ready to hopefully make decisions, to bring information as to what the safety needs are of our campuses. That is a priority of mine. It's been a priority of mine from day one. It's part of the reason we work together to try to allocate these one-time dollars. And so I look forward to hearing from people on October 13th. So staff listening in, parents listening in, this is the time. We had the professionals come and walk every one of our campuses. Thank you again to our cabinet that made that happen. So we have the professional assessments, but I want to make sure we're hearing from boots on the ground. If you have safety needs, now's the time to let us know. Hopefully October 13th, we can hear all those. Okay? And then finally, I'd be remiss if I too didn't say thank you, Craig. There are many times, I can't tell you how many times, that we put pressures on you to say, we're excited to see a project done. How soon, Craig? When can it be done? Next week? 2 weeks? I realize that there are many times we are not realistic in our request, but yet you always handle those with grace and would say, I will try. I will get back to you as soon as I can. And so I appreciate that communication. I know over the last 2 years in specific, I've had a lot of questions about our facilities, and I really want to make sure that our facilities are to par with many of the other incredible works and things that we do. And you have been responsive. You have brought forth publications here in our presentations, here in our board meetings to highlight all of the work that you're doing. I just want to say thank you for your work. Thank you for prioritizing our facilities. And we appreciate you as you continue on to your next path. Thank you so much.
Superintendent Stock, do you have any comments that you'd like to share?
I do, President Price. I just picking up where Trustee Sadoff left off is just a thank you to Craig for his incredible services of a decade here, and COVID and building a new school and just incredibly available, really 24/7, and just really appreciate deeply your work, your leadership, and your friendship, Craig. Also, wanting to just address a few other pieces from tonight before I get into other remarks is just generally sincerely appreciate the opportunities with our labor partners, both CSE and RTPA, to work to solve problems together. President Moget mentioned, like a meeting that we had, and anytime we're working together to try to reach solution and hear each other's concerns, we always actually resolve issues quicker and get closer to better solutions. So we just continue to appreciate those efforts in all regards that we can do that. I also do feel it's important that I, as superintendent, address just some of the events of the last week and few weeks. And we know last week just brought heartbreak and deeply troubling sense of loss to not just our nation and our community, but even in our schools, as many of people have commented tonight. The assassination of Charlie Kirk on a university campus, a school shooting in Colorado, and the 24th anniversary of 9/11, all in the last week, have left many of us grappling with grief or confusion or anger, or all three. And unfortunately, these events were not the only ones of political violence or school shootings in just even recent weeks and months. For our students, these events aren't distant headlines or a random social media post. They represent violence in schools, public spaces, and even against leaders. All places where people, especially our students, should feel safe. We know that actually reassurance from both family and school is essential in helping our young people regain their sense of safety and their bearings. As educators, we know that we must model in our schools and our classrooms how people can share ideas, do so respectfully, disagree respectfully, and in ways that really work to create true dialogue so we can hear each other, understand each other. Because if actually, as educators, we don't do this right, and as society, we don't do this right, we're more likely than not to have more of these tragic events like last week. But together as educators, families, and community members, I do believe that we can continue to partner to help our students navigate this tragically difficult time, because we know that our children, our kids, hold the key to a better future for our community and nation, which is why I'm so thankful that I'm an educator with so many of you.
Thank you, Superintendent Stock. We'll now move to item 8.1, the consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are to be considered routine and will be enacted by one motion followed by a roll call vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless the Board of Trustees requests specific items to be removed from the consent calendar for separate discussion and action. Any items removed will be voted upon following the motion to approve the consent calendar. Does any trustee wish to remove an item from the consent calendar for separate discussion and action?
Will you please remove 8.2?
Yes. Trustee Sutherland requested to remove item 8.2 for separate discussion and action. Is there a motion to approve the remainder of the consent agenda items?
So moved.
First by Trustee Sutherland.
Second.
Second by Trustee Counter. Donna, will you please call the roll?
Isabella Oliveras.
Here.
Tiffany Satov.
Yes.
Derek Counter.
Yes.
Julie Hupp.
Yes.
Michelle Sutherland.
Yes.
And Rochelle Price.
Yes, motion passes. Thank you. Trustee Sutherland, would you please speak to item 8.2?
Yeah, unfortunately, I was really sick last meeting, so I was not here.
No problem. We're glad you're feeling better. Is there a motion to approve consent agenda item 8.2?
So moved.
First by Trustee Hupp.
Second.
Second by Trustee Counter. Donna, will you please call the roll?
Isabella Oliveras.
Yes.
Tiffany Satov.
Yes.
Derek Counter.
Yes.
Julie Hupp.
Yes.
Michelle Sutherland.
Abstain.
Rochelle Price.
Yes, motion passes. Thank you, Donna. We now invite Roger Stock, Superintendent, to present item 9.1, action on item, let's see, it's the naming of the Springview Middle School Gymnasium.
President Price, trustees, at the June 8th board meeting, a group of staff members, current and previous, from Springview Middle School, some of who tonight in school gear, brought to the board a request to name the gymnasium at Springview Middle School in honor of longtime Springview principal and RUSD leader Marge Crawford. Per Board Policy 7310, the board directed me to determine the suitability and appropriateness of that request. With the assistance of various departments in the district, I have completed this task, and I am pleased to report back to the board this evening that based on the findings in my attached report, that the request to name the Springview Middle School Gymnasium in honor of Marge Crawford fully complies with Board Policy 7310 and is both suitable and appropriate. On a personal note, I had the opportunity to work with Marge Crawford directly during her role as an acting deputy superintendent and have seen the impact of her legacy in RUSD. And before I complete my remarks, I promised Mr. Flowers that I would give him an opportunity to add in any pertinent information for the board as they consider this item, given his long connection to Marge Crawford.
Thank you, Superintendent Stock, and thank you, Board, for considering this honor. I have to say, in my 31 years in Rocklin Unified, I cannot think of an individual more deserving than this. With everything that's been mentioned here tonight, I feel this is appropriate. Marge modeled and promoted treating all people with respect and dignity. And finally, just a shout out to the Springview staff for continuing Marge's legacy, and that's what makes Springview such a special place. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It was so inspiring and impressive to read the packet that you guys and many other staff employees shared with us about Marge. I didn't know her personally, but I loved reading some of what made her so special and the legacy that she's left at Springview. Do any of my colleagues have any comments or questions? Okay, we do have one public comment. Joseph McLean, would you please come forward to the podium and address the board for public comment on this agenda item?
Good evening. So I'm Joe McLean. I'm a math teacher at Springview Middle School. Been there since 1992. I was blessed to have been hired by Marge. I can still see her face in my interview panel from way back when. We're all here tonight. I guess we're a little bit ahead here, but just to say thank you to you, trustees, for considering this proposal. I think you could feel from our tribute letters the level of regard that we all hold for Marge as a professional, as a colleague, and as a human being. This is incredibly deserved, and we hope that you'll vote yes on this. I'd also like to say thank you to Superintendent Stock for your help and guidance with this, and Marty and Beth, thank you for helping to sort of guide us through the process of this as well. This is something that's been a long time in coming. We've been thinking about this for many, many years, so thank you in advance for your vote on this. We hope that we get the opportunity to work with you to put this proposal into action. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Is there a motion to approve the naming of the Springview Middle School Gymnasium?
So moved.
Oh. Ooh, let's see. Should we rock, paper, scissors?
I'll second.
Okay, first by Trustee Sadoff, second by Trustee Hupp. Donna, will you please call the roll?
Isabella Oliveras,
Yes.
Tiffany Satoff,
Yes.
Derek Counter,
100% yes.
Julie Hupp,
Yes.
Michelle Sutherland,
Yes.
Rochelle Price.
Yes, motion passes. We are so excited to celebrate this with you and look forward to how it all unrolls, and thank you again for coming tonight. Now to item 9.2, Jennifer Stahlheber, Deputy Superintendent, Business and Operations, to present on the Rocklin Academy Gateway Charter Petition and hold a public hearing. Hi.
Good evening, President Price, board members, Superintendent Stock. Tonight, we are going to hear a presentation from the Rocklin Academy family of schools for their Gateway Charter. They have presented the district with their petition, and it is a renewal petition, although we were not an authorizer previously under California law. Because the school is in California, they need to bring it to us. And so tonight, I'd like to introduce Dr. Stout, the superintendent of Rocklin Academy Family of Schools, along with Chelsea Bowler, Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services.
Looks like you'll need to open the agenda and pull it up from the agenda. For anyone at home wanting to see how to pull up the board agenda, this is a tutorial we're providing to you in real time. And as you can see, our newly revamped website as well.
Something's happening. My team also knows that I'm not the techie person, so I'm so glad that you're here. Okay.
Good evening, President Price, esteemed trustees, and Superintendent Stock. It is a pleasure to be here this evening to present the Rocklin Academy Charter Renewal. I am Robin Stout, and I am honored to be the Superintendent of Rocklin Academy Family of Schools. I'm presenting here this evening with our Assistant Superintendent, Chelsea Bowler. Tonight, we will share the history of Rocklin Academy Family of Schools and how Rocklin Academy aligns to that mission and vision. In closing, we will provide data that supports a 7-year charter renewal. That didn't work. Maybe this. This year, the Rocklin Academy Family of Schools is proud to celebrate 25 years of serving students and families. Our story began around a kitchen table, where a small group of families and educators came together with a shared vision to create meaningful educational choice in their community and where parents are valued partners. In 2001, that vision became a reality with the opening of our first school, Rocklin Academy, now located at the Turnstone campus, then serving 100 students. As families sought to continue with us beyond elementary school, we expanded to open Western Sierra Collegiate Academy in 2009, serving students in grades 7 through 12. The demand for our program continued to grow, and with a long waiting list year after year, we opened Rocklin Academy Gateway in 2014, welcoming 800 students from our waiting list. Since then, we've grown into a thriving school community, serving students TK through 8th, 1,200 students. Recognizing the effectiveness of our program and with a deep commitment to serving students in communities of need, we opened our newest school, American River Collegiate Academy in Sacramento County in 2020. The school we bring before you tonight, Rocklin Academy Gateway, is not an isolated effort. It is the product of a long history of outstanding education, innovation, and partnership. Gateway carries forward the values that began around that kitchen table 25 years ago. Now let's take a closer look at Rocklin Academy Gateway.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm happy to be here tonight to present the achievements of Rocklin Academy Gateway and how the entire school community brings our mission and vision to life. Starting with our mission, Rocklin Academy Family of Schools provides a distinct educational program strengthened by community and parent partnerships to achieve high standards, rich core content, and innovative learning. Gateway truly provides a distinct educational program. At the heart of our work is core knowledge. Students engaging deeply with history, science, literature, and culture. You can see that in moments like Lunar New Year celebrations, guest speakers, teaching about the human body, or living history days where students bring figures like Sojourner Truth to life. These experiences show the richness of a curriculum that spirals and deepens year to year, building to our middle school, which serves as a bridge, preparing students for advanced placement classes in high school. In addition, our continued recognition as a Solution Tree Model PLC school underscores the collaborative culture that drives continuous improvement. The distinctiveness of our program is reflected in the recognition our community receives, from state and county awards to national rankings. Our teachers and staff have been honored again and again, including county and statewide Teachers of the Year and Classified Employees of the Year. Altogether, these images and recognitions illustrate that Gateway is more than a school. It is a thriving learning community where rigorous academics, cultural richness, and teacher excellence come together to create something truly unique. Our distinct educational program is strengthened by community and parent partnership. We're proud to be part of the California Community Engagement Initiative, also referred to as CEI, which is a statewide effort that supports schools and districts in building authentic partnerships with students, families, staff, and communities to improve educational outcomes. It provides training, resources, and opportunities to share best practices so that community voices are meaningfully included in decision-making. In addition, this year we were also accepted into CEI's Street Data Community of Practice. Our team will learn the foundational knowledge of the Street Data Framework to analyze patterns and connections of our community engagement practices and reflect on the impact of our efforts. Our students live out the mission of achieving high standards, experiencing rich core content, and engaging in innovative learning. From creative problem solving and destination imagination, where our teams advance to both state and global finals, to the rigor of Math Olympiad and the Sacramento Regional Spelling Bee. Our students are continually challenging themselves at the highest levels. At the same time, our programs celebrate culture and community, like the Gateway International Festival and our vibrant Mandarin program that features the Lion and Dragon Dance. Each of these experiences reflects our commitment to providing an education that is rigorous, innovative, and deeply connected to the wider world. If we move forward to our vision, we envision a school community that inspires its students to excel academically, pursue their passions, and impact the world with excellence. Our vision aligns to our student outcomes. Gateway's most recent California School Dashboard, published in December 2024, is one way we see the results of our commitment to inspiring students to excel academically. Every state measure here is blue, the highest performance level, and all of the local indicators are met. That means our students are thriving not only in English language arts and math, but also in areas like English learner progress and school climate. Behind these numbers are classrooms filled with engaged learners, teachers providing rigorous instruction, and families partnering with us to support student success. Additionally, Rocklin Academy Gateway is named as a high-track charter school based on criteria 2, meaning every student group is performing above the state average for their peers. When you remove the student groups that performed higher or at the same level as the statewide average, our school must have at least 2 remaining student groups that receive a color on the dashboard for 2 consecutive dashboard years. As you can see, all 4 of our student groups remaining, as outlined in purple, are above the state average for 2 consecutive years in ELA, surpassing the minimum requirement of 2 student groups. Not only are these groups consistently above state levels, in many cases the gap is significant, showing that our approach is making a real difference. This high academic achievement is also seen in math. Our students are performing far above the state levels, not just school-wide, but across every student group. This is powerful evidence that our focus on rigorous instruction and support is translating into real success in mathematics for our students. And finally, our students not only pursue their passions, but impact the world with excellence. You see it in the arts with student performances and award-winning creativity, and in athletics where teamwork and perseverance shine. It is also present in leadership, like our Student Impact Committee's mural that reminds us, be yourself, everyone else is taken. And we are equally proud of our work in school culture, recognized with gold-level PBIS Implementation Awards 3 years in a row, and the PBIS Community Cares Award in 2020. Altogether, these moments show that when students are encouraged to explore their passions, they don't just grow individually, they shape and strengthen our entire community. Now let's dig into our renewal criteria.
Under Assembly Bill 1505, charter renewals are evaluated using a 3-track system, high, middle, or low. The high track is reserved for schools that have demonstrated consistently strong performance. Schools that qualify for high track renewal are eligible for 5 to 7 years and are presumed to be succeeding in meeting the needs of students. As Chelsea shared in the previous slide, Rocklin Academy Gateway meets criteria 2, where historically underperforming student subgroups are performing at or above the state average for 2 consecutive years. Because of these outcomes, the California Department of Education has placed us on the high track for renewal consideration, recognizing our effectiveness and impact as a public charter school. The Rocklin Academy family of schools has been honored to serve this community for the past 25 years. During that time, Rocklin has more than doubled in size, becoming a destination for families seeking strong schools and a thriving community. We believe our partnership with Rocklin Unified has played a meaningful role in that growth. By working together, we have expanded educational opportunities, provided families with additional school choice, and drawn students from surrounding areas, helping solidify Rocklin's reputation as one of the top places in California to raise and educate children. Oh, sorry, I'm gonna go back. As we look ahead, we respectfully request consideration for a 7-year renewal term. This would allow both Rocklin Unified and the Rocklin Academy family of schools to focus our time and resources on what matters the most, our students and the programming that supports them. It would reduce the administrative burden of frequent renewals, freeing capacity for innovation and collaboration. We deeply value our partnership with Rocklin Unified and see ourselves as one of the many outstanding educational options in this community. Last slide. In closing, we want to extend an invitation to come visit our school and see firsthand the incredible things that are happening in our classroom each and every day. Thank you for your time this evening and for your support and partnership over the last 25 years. And we have a team here, so we're available to answer any questions that you have. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You do have a lot to be proud of. And I have lived here for 25 years. All 5 of my children attended Rocklin Academy for elementary school, and I am so proud of the relationship that we've had and the collaboration, and I'm really grateful for that, and I look forward to hearing what our staff says as they look through this. Do any of my colleagues have any questions?
Just a note of appreciation to you. I think it's a beautiful thing when students and parents have options, and they have options that work for them. And so I think it's wonderful. There's a reason many people come to Rocklin, and it's because there are beautiful, wonderful, incredible educational opportunities for students. And so thank you for the option that you provide families.
Anything else? Okay, I will now open the public hearing on Rocklin Academy Gateway Charter petition and open up for public comment. I have a small stack here. I will call you up one by one, and then I will say who is on deck next. You will each be given 2 minutes to address the board. First we have, Jada, I hope I don't mess up your name. Jada Maria? Okay, come on up. And please tell me how to say it correctly. And then on deck, we have Kate Stevens.
Thank you so much. You've gotten a lot closer than most people have in the past.
Oh, good.
So.
Okay. Tell me really how you say it.
My name is Jada Santa Maria.
Oh, it's
Santa's
beautiful.
abbreviated, so
Okay.
people butcher it a lot. But
Thank you for being here.
good evening. Thank you for having me today. My name is Jada Santa Maria, and I am an 8th grade student at Rocklin Academy Gateway. 2 years ago, our school joined a statewide program, the Community Engagement Initiative, which brought together parents, students, teachers, and administrators. By collaborating with each other, we are able to see the impact that every voice in our community has on shaping the future. Through our travels to our peer leading and learning network meetings, we had the chance to share our experiences, learn from each other, as well as take back new ideas that could strengthen our work. We built bonds with districts all around California and connected on a personal level. One key thing that we learned is the importance of student voice and the fact that we have to keep them at the forefront of everything that we do. The most important thing that came out of being a part of CEI is the start of our Student Impact Committee. What first began as a small group of students has now expanded to be a part of our school culture, something that every single student has the opportunity to be a part of. It was comforting to know that our voices mattered and that things that we said could directly impact the changes made at school. This new model allowed students to participate, collaborate with teachers and administrators, and build connections between all aspects of our school. Looking back, the Community Engagement Initiative helped me to not only grow as a leader, but to more importantly showed me how powerful it can be when schools commit to listening and learning from the people who experience it each and every day, the students themselves. I'm grateful to have been a part of this work and to know that our efforts will continue to make a difference for future students. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, Kate Stevens, and then we will hear from Titus Brett Hart.
Hi, good evening. My name is Kate Stevens. Thank you for allowing me time to speak with you all about Rocklin Academy Gateway. This is my 6th year teaching 1st grade at Gateway and my 18th year teaching. I also have the privilege of being a parent at Gateway, with 2 daughters being in 4th and 1st grade. When I first came to this area, I was aligned to our vision, where we believe all students can learn. After being here for 6 years, I can confidently say all teachers and staff, not just believe this, but are active participants in upholding this vision on a daily basis. Our core knowledge curriculum ensures that all students have access to the resources and tools they need to succeed. Grounded in the science of reading, it introduces new skills at a developmentally appropriate pace, supporting strong foundational literacy. Students explore science and history topics through engaging stories and read-alouds that spark curiosity and deepen their understanding. Our approach to reaching all is how we support struggling students. 4 days a week, we offer Tier 2 interventions led by our classroom teachers and enrichment support specialists with dedicated time built into the school day for small group instruction. This ensures that students receive targeted support without missing new classroom content. Teachers are able to provide remedial instruction to students who are struggling, as well as provide enrichment opportunities to students who are on track or high achieving. English learners receive daily small group instruction focused on vocabulary development and building background knowledge. This intentional support empowers them to communicate confidently with their peers and fully participate in classroom learning. Again, thank you so much for allowing me this time to speak with you all tonight. I'm really looking forward to partnering with you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Kate. We'll now hear from Titus with Mira Ray on deck.
Hello, everyone. My name is Titus Breitbart. I'm an 8th grader at Rocklin Academy Gateway, and I'm so excited to talk about all the opportunities we have for middle schoolers to pursue their passions. Students can participate in one sport per season, including soccer, basketball, cross country, flag football, track and field, and girls volleyball. If there's enough spots on the team, 6th graders are also invited to try out, which can give them a cool opportunity to meet fellow middle schoolers. Students are also given the opportunity to form and join clubs. Last year, we had a book club, a coding club, a Diablo club, a science club, a D&D club, and several others. We have Club Rush during lunch once all the club ideas have been approved, where each of the club founders pitch their idea to fellow students in order to gain members. We also have many interesting elective classes for students to enjoy, such as PE, STEM exploration, exploring Spanish and Mandarin culture, visual arts, choir, band, theater, and pop culture. We also have a student impact committee, as Jada mentioned, to raise student voice and make the school the best it can be, with representatives from all our homerooms. Our extended learning time system, or ELT, is in place for students to catch up on schoolwork or go to fun enrichment classes. Enrichments can include table games, origami, 3D printing opportunities, and many others. Thanks for letting me speak to all the opportunities we have to pursue our passions at Gateway.
Thank you so much, Titus. Mira Ray, welcome. And on deck, we have Dana Burke. Hi.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Mira Rai, and I'm a 6th grade student at Rocklin Academy Gateway. I'm part of the Student Impact Committee, and I'm here tonight because I believe something really special is happening at our school, and it starts with student voice. Last year, our committee became more than just a group. It became the heart of our school. What started as a few new ideas turned into something so much bigger, a movement built on belonging, connection, and the belief that every single person matters. One of our most meaningful things that we did was launch weekly announcements. Initially, it was simply sharing news, but soon it became a moment everyone looked forward to, a time to celebrate kindness, lift each other up, and remind ourselves that we're not alone. Those few minutes each week made our school feel more connected, more joyful, and more us. We also created the School Buddies program, bringing younger and older students together. It started with planned activities, but what grew from it were real friendships. You could see it in the way students looked out for each other, laughed together, and grew more confident, just knowing that someone cared about them. But the real impact, it came from small things, a high five in the hallway, a shout out that made someone smile, a moment of feeling seen. Those are the things that changed our school. And this year, we're continuing with the same heart. New voices have joined us, announcements are back, and we're already dreaming up new ways to make everyone feel like they belong. This reflects the heart of our charter, empowering students not just as learners, but as leaders. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, we have Dana Burke, and then on deck, Crystal Burley.
Hi, my name is Dana, and I have twin boys in first grade. I will share our experience with special education services for Patrick. Like many parents with a child with special needs, our journey began with a sense of apprehension. When we were notified that he was accepted into Rocklin Academy, we were both ecstatic and overwhelmed by the unknowns. Would Patrick be understood? Would his challenges be addressed with patience? The school staff quickly put our fears to rest. While he had an IEP already in place for speech therapy, it soon became clear he needed more support in an academic setting. The IEP reevaluation was quickly done, and the staff were compassionate and thorough. Additionally, they treated my husband and I like we were experts in everything Patrick. After sharing their assessment and plan, it was evident that they saw him not as a set of challenges, but as a whole child, curious and full of potential. The progress Patrick has made is remarkable. He has built skills in reading, math, and writing. Equally important is his growth beyond academics. My son has developed coping strategies to manage frustrations and tools for self-advocacy. These gains are not the result of a single intervention, but the cumulative effect of consistent, compassionate support and their deep understanding of each student's journey. I want to say that as a parent, entrusting your child's development and well-being to others is an act of profound trust. My perspective as both a pediatric nurse and mom deepens this sense of responsibility. I understand how essential it is for children to receive compassionate, personalized attention.
Thank you so much. Crystal, you are next, and you'll be followed by Charmaine Jamal.
Good evening, trustees. My name is Crystal Burley, and I'm a parent at Rocklin Academy Gateway. I have a son in 7th grade and a daughter in 5th grade. We have been at Gateway since 2017 when my son started as a TKer. I still remember hot lunch the day we dropped him off for his first day. Come to find out, we have a classically trained French chef who heads up our cafeteria. Our close family friends, who also happened to be my husband's boss at the time, is the reason we began our children's education at Gateway. When it was time to register Jacob for school, they said to us with a matter of utmost certainty that we shouldn't look anywhere else but Gateway. Their children attended Turnstone at a point in time and eventually moved on to Gateway. They were an actively involved family who spoke highly of parent partnerships, being valued and heard, and cultural diversity. We never questioned their suggestion to attend a public charter school of choice, so we filled out the application, held our breath during the lottery that took place in the multi-purpose room, and were probably one of the last numbers to be pulled as an accepted family. I have partnered with our school in many ways over the years, from room parent, field trip chaperone, taking home papers to staple, all the way to be an executive board member on our parent-school partnership, which we call the PSP. I'm still part of the PSP to this day, but on a more behind-the-scenes level. My latest opportunity was with fellow parents, teachers, students, just like Jada, and admin being part of a 2-year volunteer collaboration with the California Engagement Initiative, which we call CEI. We learned a lot about ourselves and our school during that time, and almost all of that I have carried over to my role with PSP. Our school has made big strides over the years, and I've been lucky to be a part of them since 2017. We continue to strive in higher education, collaborate with our community, and are successful when we prioritize our parent partnerships and put our students first. We are constantly learning and growing. My kids love their school, and they wouldn't choose to be anywhere else, and neither would I. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, next we have Charmaine Jamal, and on deck, Sean Healy.
Hello, my name is Charmaine, and I've been a Gateway parent for the last 8 years. Despite its rapid growth, it has always impressed me the way Gateway has managed to offer the intimate experience that would otherwise come from a village school. Aside from getting to bond with families who share our goals of rich cultural diversity and high academic standards, we get to partner with a staff that greatly values family engagement. A few years back, I had reached out to our principal about a concern I had in my daughter's classroom, and instead of keeping me at arm's length, our principal took the opportunity to bring me into the fold of their initiative and to improve family engagement. For the last few years, Gateway has been involved with CEI, a statewide campaign to promote family engagement in schools across our state. As part of Gateway's 8-person team, I was encouraged to share my perspective on what could make our school feel like a safer and more welcoming environment for all our students and families. One of the events our principal tasked me and other parents with was to plan an international festival that highlights the cultural diversity at our school. Our administrators recognized that there was a thirst for programming that celebrates our school community, and it was such a privilege to organize what quickly became our school's most popular program. I'm grateful that Gateway's administration and staff recognizes the cultural wealth that our families bring to our school community, because it has made attending this school that much more enriching of an experience for my children. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sean Healy.
Good evening, President Price, trustees, Superintendent Stock. My name is Sean Healy. I'm the superintendent for Newcastle Elementary School District, and we've had the privilege of serving as the authorizing agency for Rocklin Academy Gateway since the beginning. And over those years, our partnership has been both productive, positive, and I want to take a moment to highlight the strength of that relationship. From the beginning, Rocklin Academy Gateway has been an excellent partner in the charter authorization process. They've consistently maintained a strong academic program, demonstrated sound fiscal management, and worked in close collaboration with both their families and our district. We've seen Gateway students excel academically and personally, and we have seen their staff and their leadership engage in thoughtful, transparent communication with us as authorizers. That type of partnership builds trust, and it's allowed us to celebrate their many successes along the way. Gateway's presence has enriched the broader educational community as well. They've provided families with a high-quality option while remaining steadfast in their accountability. When concerns or questions have arisen, their administration has addressed them promptly and professionally. That commitment to responsiveness has made them a model charter partner. As you consider the renewal of Rocklin Academy Gateway under Rocklin Unified, we want to affirm our support and confidence of their continued success. We know firsthand of the quality of their leadership and their dedication to the students, as you've heard from many of the speakers before me. And we believe that they will continue to thrive under your authorization. At the same time, we're really sad to see them leave us. The laws have changed that pretty much eliminate the possibility of them remaining as, Newcastle remaining as their authorizing district. But we've been proud to stand with Gateway since the beginning, and we remain committed to supporting their mission and their students in whatever way best serves. In closing, I want to express my gratitude for the thoughtful way that you are approaching this decision. Newcastle and Rocklin share the same goal, ensuring that every student has access to excellent educational opportunities. Rocklin Academy Gateway is an example of what's possible when schools, families, and authorizers work together in partnership, and I'm honored to have been part of their journey. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you to each of you that came and shared, especially the students. We loved hearing from you, and that takes some courage. I don't think I spoke in front of a board meeting until I was in my 40s, so good job. We appreciate you coming tonight to do that for us. So I will now close the public hearing. We will move to item 9.3. Bill McDonald, Associate Superintendent in Elementary Education, will now join to hold a public hearing and action on Resolution 252601, a resolution affirming sufficient textbooks and instructional materials for 2025-26. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, President Price, trustees, Superintendent Stock. I'm happy to be here to bring forward a resolution on sufficient textbooks for the 25-26 school year. But first, a couple thanks. I'm standing at this podium today, but the last time I was here was a Sunday afternoon, actually, where I had the honor of presiding over my son's Eagle Court of Honor in this boardroom. Thanks to Superintendent Stock and all of you for the use of the facility. It was a super meaningful ceremony. 4 great boys became Eagle Scouts, so appreciate that. It was nice to have that in this room as well, so appreciate you all. Second, thank you this is the actual resolution for textbooks, but we actually had a Williams audit visit at one of our elementary schools just a couple weeks ago. That was at Rock Creek Elementary School. PCOE sent a team out to evaluate the school for Williams compliance. It was an exemplary visit. They said probably one of the best ones they had. And because of that, I want to thank a couple people. Principal Bevan Glover did an amazing job preparing. Clerk Courtney Sequenza did a ton of work to prepare for that. Carrie Awe and Grace McCarty here in Ed Services did excellent work making sure they had everything they needed. And finally, Rain from M&O. The facilities section of this, which is in 8 areas, we were 99.17% proficient in facilities. Safety, electricity, everything. So again, credit to Craig. Craig's sitting there. I want to say a couple things to Craig. Thank you, Craig. Craig always picked up the phone, always. And I heard him say almost every time I talked to him, I'm here for the students and to support schools. That's my job. And I love that about Craig. We'll miss you, Craig. And he's my go-to guy for tiny TK toilets, so I'm going to miss that too. But can't have everything. So hopefully we'll find a great replacement. On to the resolution. In order to comply with the requirements of Ed Code 60119, Rocklin is required to hold a public hearing on the sufficiency of textbooks in the school district. A notice of public hearing was posted on August 28th at 3 Rocklin schools as required by Ed Code. As Associate Superintendent over Educational Services, I attest that there are sufficient textbooks and instructional materials for each student attending the Rocklin Unified School District in all academic areas, including mathematics, science, history, science, English language arts, foreign language, health, and laboratory science. These textbooks are available both at school and at home and are aligned with the academic content and standards adopted by the state of California and consistent with the current cycles of adoption. At this time, I request the board hold the public hearing and to approve the resolution provided to affirm sufficient textbooks in Rocklin Unified for the 25-26 school year.
Thank you, Dr. McDonald. Are there any board comments or questions? I now open the public hearing for Resolution 25-2601, affirming sufficient textbooks and instructional materials for 2025-2026. I don't see any public comment. I now close the public hearing. Is there a motion to approve Resolution 25-2601, affirming sufficient textbooks and instructional materials for 2025-2026?
So moved.
First by Trustee Counter.
Second.
Second by Trustee Sutherland. Donna, will you please call the roll?
Isabella Oliveras,
Yes.
Tiffany Satoff,
Yes.
Derek Counter,
Yes.
Julie Hupp,
Yes.
Michelle Sutherland,
Yes.
Rochelle Price.
Yes, motion passes. Thank you. We'll now bring Jennifer Stahlheber back for item 9.4, action on the 2024-25 unaudited actuals financial statements.
Good evening again. I would like to take a moment as I set this up to also congratulate Craig and express my sadness to see him go. He really is amazing. I've worked with other facilities, directors, and he really is top-notch. He's so budget conscious and he cares so deeply about the community and our students. So on one hand, I'm extremely happy for him to have this opportunity, but I have done my best to not cry at all the meetings that we've discussed this, because it is really hard to lose him. So fingers crossed we find someone great. But he knows that I know where he lives, and I have his phone number. So. Okay, on to the unaudited actuals. Okay, so good evening again. I'm going to go ahead and just move on forward then. So tonight we're going to be discussing the unaudited actuals, which are district prepared year-end financial statements for the period of July 1, 2024 through June 30th, 2025. The report is required by Ed Code 42100 and must be reviewed and approved by the board and then filed with the County Office of Education. They play a critical role in ensuring transparency and accountability in financial reporting. And in December, we'll be back with our audited financial statements, hence why this is called the unaudited. The audited financial statements are the ones that our auditors will review and then give their stamp of approval, and then those go on to the state. So this is our graphic of where we are in our budget cycle. And so we come back to you multiple times throughout the year to give you budget updates, to share information related to governor's proposal when he's getting ready to introduce a new budget. And then we get a revision of that, and then we get a final version. All of that goes into us preparing our financial statements that we bring to you. So this is a review of our unaudited actuals for our unrestricted revenues. And you can see we did have a variance from our estimated actuals, which we prepared. We start working on that early spring. We brought those to you at the end of May, and they were approved in June. Our position did improve. We had $879,000 increase in our revenues. The key changes, $235,000 of which was related to our local control funding formula. We had some adjustments due to some components that rely on annual ADA versus P2, so we wouldn't have had those numbers at the time we prepared estimated actuals. We also saw an adjustment to our Education Protection Act funds in the amount of $47 that is part of that $235. We also saw our other state revenues increase, and that was due to the unrestricted lottery. We always have a different rate when they close out lottery for the year. We just never know, so we hold the given rate throughout the entire year until we get that final fourth quarter estimate, and then this is where we book it. We saw an increase in our other local revenue. There's multiple things that contributed to this item. We had our GASB entry that we prepare every year that just says the fair market value of our cash. So it's not actual cash, but it is an entry we're required to enter, and then we reverse it immediately in the next year. So you'll see that adjustment when we come back at first interim. We also had an increase in our interest earnings, and that is because we saw an even higher rate. We've had really good earnings in the pool treasury that the county holds all the funds in. We've been seeing interest earnings of more than 3.5%. We had the final couple of months come in just over 4%, so a little bit higher than our estimates, and so that accounts for 167. And then we also had $139,000 in a PGE rebate. This year we audited all of our utilities, and we found that we had a franchise charge being applied, and because we're a school district, we're exempt from that. And so we were able to recover $139,000 back. So that was Trustee, who works in Craig's department. Her eagle eye caught that when we went through an audit of our utilities. So great job by them to recover some of those funds, because you're going to see in a later slide that we've had a lot of increases related to utilities. And then we had some small changes in other sources, and those are like interfund transfers, very nominal. So these are our restricted revenues. Those we saw a much larger increase from our estimated actuals. The majority of that is sitting in our other local and is related to the bus grants that are restricted dollars. So we have multiple bus grants right now that we've applied for, have already received notice that we're going to receive. We thought 3 of them would be coming in after July 1, and we had 1 grant that was going to be coming in prior to, and that was at estimated actuals. It actually was a reverse. We had 1 that did not come in, the one we thought was coming in, and the other 3 did come in prior to June 30th. And so that caused this increase. You're also going to see some expenditures related to that when we get to the expenditure screen, and that's a net effect from the 1 not coming in and the other 3 coming in. And so this is a representation of all of the revenues, and you can see the bulk of our revenues are derived from the local control funding formula, and that is comprised of 3 different buckets. And so we receive property taxes, and then we receive those Education Protection Act funds, and we talk about those every time. That was Prop 30 and then Prop 55 that extended some of those taxes on our highest earners in the state. If you recall, the initial proposition also included some additional sales tax. Those funds will eventually sunset, and so we're already hearing discussions that it may come back to the voters again to extend those funds, and part of that is related to the state's budget. They do not see a lot of additional revenues in the near future, and if those funds were to expire, that is a chunk of those local control funding formula funds, and so you'll probably hear a lot, particularly when you're in CSBA, talking about starting those efforts. And then you can see our other sources are not nearly as close, and with all of the changes that we saw in federal when we came with our 45-day revise, we were sharing we had originally started to remove some items, but then they were restored. Fortunately for us, or unfortunately, you could look at it either way, we only received just over 2% of our total revenues from the federal government. So if we did have to make reductions, we know that our problem is not as big as maybe some agencies that rely much more heavily on federal funds. So this is a look at our expenditures on the unrestricted side, and we saw a decrease in total expenditures. Our salary and benefits, the net increase, and they had an overall increase, was 123 and some change, and that was due to some stipends and adjustments for vacant positions. We saw a decrease in our books and supplies. That was a decrease of 528, but we had over 553 of it that was carryover. So the net impact was lower, and that's because we did have a few items that came in slightly higher than we had expected in that category. We also had some carryover in our services and other operating, but some of those savings were not just carryover. We saw lower expenditures in our legal fees. We also saw some of our other service contracts come in lower and some tech agreements come in lower. And so that was really good to see, but we also saw some items related to services that carried into that next year because they weren't completed by June 30th. And that's kind of a typical thing. We see it more in the restricted side related to routine restricted maintenance. And then we also saw some capital outlay. We had estimated the one grant that we thought we were gonna receive that we didn't had a district share portion. The other grants cover the entire bus, but this particular grant had a district share. We thought we were gonna pay our share of the share. It'll now be next year. These are our restricted expenditures. We saw a decrease of 1.8, and you're going to see that a large part of that is related to multiple programs having carryover related to timing. And so the net impact on our salary and benefits was a reduction of $77,000 related to vacant positions, some savings we saw in overtime and extra duty, so that's, and sub-costs came in lower as well. Our books and supplies, that was made up of some of our bigger programs that have big expenditures and also typically have some carryover due to timing. So we saw 715,000 of that was carryover due to timing, where we had a PO out there, but we did not receive the goods prior to June 30th. Universal Pre-K had 209,000 in carryover into the next year. And then CTIG as well had some carryover, and our art and music instructional material grant as well. We also saw some of our donation funds carry over, and our sites do that often. Sometimes they're saving for like a bigger thing, and so maybe all those donation funds don't get spent in the current year because they're gonna make that purchase in the subsequent year. We had 184,000 of that, though, was related to our kitchen infrastructure and training funds, and that was because part of the final state budget extended the use of those funds. So instead of having to rush through some expenditures, which Charles had a plan in place, he decided he was gonna wait because he had also sent out a survey in April where we were getting some data back from parents related to food, and so he paused on those since we had the extension. So this represents our total expenditures, both unrestricted and restricted. And you can see we spend almost 84% of our entire budget on salary and benefits. And so, you know, districts can be anywhere between 75, 85. We're right up there at that high end. And so, you know, I know we heard there's a lot of discussion around salary and benefits, but I feel like we are doing a really good job of managing our budget and compensating employees well. Doesn't mean we don't want to strive to do more, because we do, and we respect our teachers, but we're right in there with everyone else, I think, in the region. So this is the trend data that I mentioned we were going to see related to utilities. And so one of the items that is a fixed cost that comes out of our unrestricted side our utilities, and we have no control over that. So as much planning as we want to do, other than some of the energy management efforts we've made, which the district's invested heavily in, there's a lot that's out of our control. And so you can see that reflected in these increases. We've seen increases just since 2021 in excess of 74%. So that's a lot in a really short period of time. And we had 6 rate increases from PG&E last year. And so, when I first started in education, we would run a 5-year trend and we would apply, and it usually averaged anywhere maybe 3 to 6%, somewhere in there. We would include it in our budget, and really we'd only experience 1 increase. That has changed, and a lot of it I think is related to California and our wildfires, and so I think we're gonna keep seeing this as our energy companies are being held accountable for some of the damage that's happened throughout the state. They're having to raise their rates, and so this is just something that I have to keep in mind when I'm looking at budget and having to make recommendations of what we think we can afford. And so that's part of why I wanted to include this information. I want the community to know some of the challenges we face when we're making decisions. Another area where we see contributions increasing from the unrestricted side of our budget is in special education. And so all districts throughout the state are seeing more students identified that need special education services. But it's also an area where it's really hard to find those employees that can serve those students. And so sometimes we have to contract with outside agencies, and it's very pricey. And we have seen no increases to revenues. And matter of fact, as you can see reflected in this chart, our revenues decreased from the 23-24 to 24-25. Part of that was some change to how AB 602, which is the calculation used to pass through state special education funds. It used to go to a SELPA. There was a SELPA formula that was dependent upon the SELPA model that was created with its member districts. The state then said, we're gonna pass this through. It goes directly to your districts now, which makes it more proportional to what your special education population is currently. There had been a lot of old formulas that had come through historically that kind of had some hold harmless provisions in it. And we were a district that benefited from some of those old calculations that had some hold harmless. And so that's why we see a decrease in $1 million. But our expenditures are not decreasing at that same pace. And so for us, we're seeing large increases in the contributions, which come directly out of our unrestricted funds. Any questions related to any of these charts? Isabel, do you have any questions?
No, I don't. I was just clarifying some things. So thank you so much, though.
Yeah, just please feel free to interject if you, and then I wanted to also include some trend data. So another unique quality of Rocklin right now is that we're a city that's built out pretty much. We have a few spots that are still being developed, but compared to our neighboring districts, we do not have a lot of growth. And so it's something that we need to be aware of, and we also want the public to be aware of. Because right now, we have our neighboring districts that are experiencing phenomenal growth compared to the rest of the state of California. So, I'm always going to CBO roundtables or attending conferences or, reading newsletters. I'm on a CBO listserv. And Sacramento and Placer County are 2 of the only regions in the state. There are a couple other that are growing, but it's very few and far between. And so we really are an outlier for Placer County to not have growth. And so that's another thing we have to look at. My first couple of budgets that I prepared, I have left enrollment flat in those out years because we had a couple years where demographer projected some decreases that we didn't actually realize that it kind of stayed flat. But this year we have already on our 10-day warm body count seen a decrease. And so I put those figures into a new local control funding formula calculation just to kind of see, okay, by the time we get to CBEDS, which is October 1st, it's always the first Wednesday in October, if we don't experience some growth, we're gonna be under. And I know my revenues are gonna be lower when I present them to you in December at first interim. And so just using the numbers we had on September 4th, I ran that calculation, and although it wouldn't impact the current year because we are currently being funded on the methodology that takes 3 prior year averages, it will impact us in the out year. So you can see that in 26-27, we would see a reduction of over 309,000. In that following year, 27-28, we'd see a reduction of over 639, and in that third year of over 991. And that was with leaving it flat. So when we get to those out years, if I start adding in some reductions that comes out of those demographer reports that we receive, we're gonna see further reductions in those revenues. So just remember, this is the biggest part of our revenues that we receive, and they're not growing at the rate that they used to because of declining enrollment.
I know Trustee Sadoff mentioned it, and I get this, but just to help the folks out in the audience and or at home, the only way right now we can get revenue into the district is either having more enrollment or a higher COLA. Am I right?
There is a piece of it that also looks at our unduplicated pupil percentage, and we have seen that increase the last couple of years. That's also on a 3-year rolling average, so you don't benefit from all the growth in 1 year, but it also means you wouldn't be harmed if you saw a decrease.
And again, not being facetious, but I know people compare school districts to businesses. I just want to verify, and Marty will laugh at me when I say it, but there's no pricing we can take to increase revenue, right? No. And we don't have a stock price that gets higher and we can take revenue from that, right? No. And there's not like sales or more products we can go promote, push that bring in more revenue. So it's really attendance, the unduplicated thing, or essentially COLA that we're
Or lowering our ongoing expenditures.
Or obviously taking cost out or taking services away from things, and then that shifts it. But at the end of the day, okay. Thank you.
Okay, so next steps, we're gonna be back here in December. We're gonna discuss first interim. We're gonna have some revisions in there based on the latest and greatest data that we have. We're gonna revise all of our budget assumptions to align with that information, and then we're gonna keep having conversations and continue to build systems that really look for efficiencies that we can take advantage of that are gonna help drive some savings as well. And any other questions? Okay, then I just want to extend a thank you to everyone that's part of this. So everyone in this building helps when we're closing the books because they all have POs, they all have budgets they manage. And the fiscal services team did a really outstanding and amazing job, delivered it on time so that we're able to get it to you in enough time that you can look at it in advance and then send any questions you have. So I just want to thank everyone.
Thank you. You have an incredible team, and we appreciate it so much.
I'm lucky.
Seeing no public comment, is there a motion to approve the 2024-25 unaudited actuals financial statements?
So moved.
First by Trustee Hupp. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Sutherland. Donna, will you please call the roll?
Isabella Olivares?
Yes.
Tiffany Satop?
Yes.
Derek Counter?
Yes.
Julie Hupp?
Yes.
Michelle Sutherland?
Yes.
Rochelle Price?
Yes. Motion passes. Thank you. Thank you. All right, item 10.1, we now welcome Rocklin Police Chief Rustin Banks to present information on e-bikes and e-scooters.
Right. Good evening, President Price, trustees, Superintendent Stock. Thank you for having me, Rustin Banks, your police chief. And I'm really excited to be here tonight and discuss the topic of youth e-bike safety in Rocklin. I'll be honest, in my mind, this is yet another example of how this board continues to prioritize student safety, just having me here and having the discussion. And so thank you again for the invite. Before I go to the next slide, I do want to stop for a second and just also thank Craig. I've got to know him over the 3.5 years that I've been here, and whether it's Knox Box or facility security, he was on our traffic subcommittee there for when we're doing that, and so it's been a great partnership, and I wish you the best. Thank you very much. So, e-bikes. I thought we would start to kind of level set and talk about what e-bikes are. There's, I think, some confusion about that. And so I'll go through them all, and I've been told I have about 10 minutes or so, and it's an informational presentation, but please, if there's something that's confusing, feel free to stop me. So a Class 1 has pedals. That's something that's important. It's capped at 20 miles an hour. There is no throttle. A Class 2 does have a throttle. It's also capped at 20 miles per hour or governed. Class 3 is pedal assist only. There isn't a throttle, but it goes all the way up to 28 miles an hour. And something to understand, and that's important about this, is we already have state laws that require Class 3 riders to be over 16, and they need to wear helmets for all ages. Now, in addition to our 3 classes of e-bikes, we have more e-technology and transportation. We have scooters, and you may or may not be aware that the scooter laws say that you have to be 16, and you have to have a license and wear a helmet, and you can't be on a sidewalk. I know, see, that's typically the looks that I get. And then we have all of these other things. We have e-motorcycles, or we call them pocket bikes sometimes, which have absolutely no pedals. They are truly just motorcycles, and there is really no lawful way of operating that anywhere other than private property somewhere. And so we've kind of been bombarded, if you will, with these different types of e-transportation. We're still trying to figure it out, and I'll talk a little bit about the steps that we've taken working with you and working with the city. But like I said, it was important to kind of start. So the background of what we've done and how we got to where we're at. And I think that it's the convenience, it's the affordability, and the ease of use that have kind of driven that growth that we've seen. And it's not just in Placer County. I'm sure you guys all have colleagues throughout the state and more. Everybody is kind of trying to wrap their head around this challenge right now. But with that proliferation, we also had some issues regarding their use, and we've seen riding on sidewalks. We've seen riders that go against traffic, obviously speeding. We've unfortunately experienced a good amount of bike versus pedestrian collisions and bike versus vehicle collisions. These forms of transportation also have the ability to modify them. And you can go on TikTok, and what's supposed to be capped or governed at 20 miles an hour, you have the ability to learn in a matter of seconds how to make that thing 30, 40, even 50 miles per hour, unfortunately. They really came onto our radar in about 2023. We started working closely with the school district to figure out how we were going to collaborate and work together and see what could be done to get education and enforcement and other things. I think you probably have seen recently we've had a number of social media posts. I don't know if those get sent to you. They certainly get sent to me. What maybe this newest phase looks like, where we have groups of riders in the streets. We have, and I'll tell you, every town hall I go to. I was at PCAR a couple days ago, and I go through my presentation on public safety in Rocklin, and then immediately I get hit with e-bike questions and National Night Out. I think my gut says you guys experience similar questions. And so I'm excited again just to be here and discuss it with you. So our response in partnership with the district was kind of our normal response for traffic-related stuff, which is a combination of education and enforcement. And I'll tell you, we did, I think, a total of 8 assemblies that first year. We were constantly in our schools. We put together trifold flyers that we passed out at community outreach events. We coordinated emails that you were graciously enough to, to send out to our parents. We've even created videos that we pushed out, trying to hit everybody from as many angles as possible. We also did enforcement, and we would do, directed enforcement and saturation patrols where we'd go over by, Granite Oaks or one of the other schools, and we'd be there with certificates for free donuts for all the kids that are doing it right, and then we'd work through and issue warning citations for the ones that were displaying that irresponsible behavior. And then that progresses, by the way. We would even, we've issued actual citations. We've cited parents. We've towed in extreme situations. And so we've kind of tried to take up to this point, a very traditional approach of education and enforcement. Unfortunately, 2024 yielded similar kind of results there. The number of collisions actually increased in 2024. Many of them, the concerning behaviors persisted or even worsened. And based on our current year-to-date data, we're on track to have 25 e-bike-related collisions by the end of the year. A closer look at the 2024 data revealed that among the 17 e-bike-related injury crashes we reviewed, juveniles were involved in 13 of them. The age distribution of those juveniles ranged from 11 to 17 years old, with the vast majority being between that 11 to 15 years old. And we'll talk about that more in a little bit, but I really do see that as being the challenge. And 88% of all collisions were caused by the bicyclists, and more than half of those were due to wrong-way riding. 69% of the collisions occurred on weekdays between 7 a.m. and 5 p.m., aligning closely with the school commute times. Now, it also should be noted that this is just what's been reported to us. We've just started really making sure that we're tracking and so that we can see once we maybe implement whether or not we're being successful. But the reality is there's also collisions that don't ever come onto our radar. We also worked with the school district to track how many different e-bikes and or scooters we have on our campuses. Our most recent count, I think, was recently, and we just crested, I think, 200 is the number that we're seeing between a combination of e-bikes and scooters there. And so we talk a lot about kind of our traditional, what we've done up to this point, and then what an equipment-focused enforcement could look like. Now, what I've learned from the outreach that we've done, the education, the enforcement, and then tracking the data is that I don't think the traditional approach is going to be sufficient here. And the reason is that we're dealing with 11 to 15-year-olds, and they're amazing, but it's possible that they might lack that judgment. That's why we make people wait until they're 16 and we push them to go through training, and then we make them take a test. I think that, you know, they just, simply stated, might not have the judgment to operate this type of technology. And I've come to the opinion that no matter how much we do from an educational and enforcement standpoint, I think we will still have 11 and 12 and 13-year-olds that are going to act like 11 and 12 and 13-year-olds. And to be perfectly candid, I'm not even, you know, there's no fault here. If I was 12 years old and I had an opportunity to tear around the town on this, I probably would have been there. And even with the parents, I get that too. We've all, you know, we have children that we've had to navigate the traffic around some of those schools. It can be a lot. And if I can spend $1,000 or $500 and Johnny can make it to school and I don't have to wait in line, like I might sign up for that. So I get it. It's really not about fault or you know, how to navigate any of that. We're just trying to, at this point, prevent something bad from happening in the community. And we've started to see it. And so, again, that's why I'm so thankful that we're here and talking about if there's any sort of collaboration that can happen. I really have come to the opinion the traditional approach probably isn't going to work. I don't want to sit there and wait for us to observe a vehicle code violation. I don't want to have the possibility of pursuits. You guys might have seen that in other jurisdictions. There's been some pretty scary stuff on YouTube where, you know, traffic stops. And again, we do these. Enforcement's a regular part of this, but you know, the idea that a 12-year-old would take off from a traffic stop and then get hurt is something I concerns me greatly. And again, I think that approach, even if we continue to do it and we do it well, it's going to be a Groundhog Day. There's going to be another group that comes in, and we're going to be doing the same thing, and occasionally there's going to be those that, you know, are acting irresponsibly, and I'm just not sure that that's the appropriate approach here. If we can focus on equipment, if we can maybe look and figure out a way to restrict the type of equipment that certain age groups are utilizing, I think that we're being proactive and not just reactive. And so that's where I'm trying to get. That's in working with the, talking with the other leadership in the city. That's what we're trying to wrap our heads around there. Now, moving on from there, there's some challenges with equipment-focused enforcement. You may or may not be aware, but AB 1909, which is the Omnibus Bicycle Law, actually prevents the local municipalities from further restricting e-bike operation over that past traditional bicycles. And so we don't have the ability to do that right now. And we've gone through, a number of different approaches here. We previously have talked with Superintendent Stock about, what some type of partnership could look like. We obviously have explored our options as a city. There are some opportunities and some examples of where there are jurisdictions that have taken pilot programs, and I pointed out two here on the slide. AB 1778 in Marin actually limits, it's an assembly bill that allows the municipalities to enact ordinances limiting Class 2 e-bikes for 15 and under, which is...
How did they get those to pass just for those two areas?
I don't know that it's been brought up. Yeah.
Typically, the author submitted language for a bill that speaks specifically just to those areas.
And they're pilot programs. And I think that's the goal of the legislation, is to take a deeper look and to see whether or not, right.
Typically, it's because if they have difficulty passing it statewide, or they don't have data to show, they'll do a pilot and then try to bring it back statewide.
And so and both of these are actually 5-year pilot programs. And so they're going to collect data over a period of 5 years. And we explored this as a city. We've worked with, talked with Assemblyman Patterson and tried to see what that looked like. I've worked with some of our other local law enforcement leaders, and it's not exclusive to Rocklin. All of the other communities are experiencing similar challenges, and we explored that. And we even, in June of this year, had a small window where we were possibly able to bring something similar like this to Sacramento. It didn't work out this time, but it doesn't mean that it's not an option for the future. And
for these respective pilot programs, what's the enforcement like?
So it's pretty robust as far as how they're explaining it. 15 and under, and there's a grace period, which I would always recommend, but they start with the grace period, and then there's warnings, and then there's minimal fees. That the goal here is for compliance. It's not for to necessarily hammer people that are continuing to do it. And so there's minimal fees that I think compound. So so I talked about Marin. San Diego's was actually specific to 12 and under. So there's a couple different models out there. As I looked at the data for Rocklin, the Marin, in my opinion, was probably a little more applicable because it's those 11 to 15-year-olds that we're seeing. So as far as your police department and the city of Rocklin goes, the goal here is to continue to work with partners, and we have a couple of options. We can continue to go that route and maybe see if we can achieve a program similar to what we've seen in Marin. In theory, that would be probably enacted not till January of 2027 at best. And we're continuing to gather data. We're seeing Marines reporting out on that as we speak, and so we're learning how effective some of those ordinances in the communities in Marin County have been with e-bike enforcement. And then if there's anything that makes sense here, we're certainly willing to explore that as well. So I think I was pretty close.
Yeah, just a good question, and appreciate the feedback. From an age standpoint, whether you're limiting it, how do you validate age?
So
because they don't have driver's license.
Agreed. So are you saying through this equipment?
If you said 15 or less, you can't ride it. So kid pulls up. Is it Trust me, I'm 16.
Well, no, it would, for us, a lot of it would be around the schools, and it would be, as someone pulls up to a junior high, a middle school or to an elementary school, we have relationships with a lot of them. A lot of those we're gonna know already, and so it's, hey, Johnny, I don't know if you're aware or not, but, we're not allowed to, you're no longer allowed to have a Class 2. And these are the ones, again, it's the ones with the throttle that are the problems. Those are the ones that you're seeing wheelies, or those are the ones that we're seeing in traffic. The more traditional ones, pedal bikes, yeah. So.
I had a question. I was
Yes.
looking up AB 1909, and I get that their goals were, right, they want more people in some of these congested areas to use bikes instead of vehicles, large vehicles, right? I understand that. Were there any age requirements? Like, does it prevent the city doing something? I know they don't want cities to limit e-bike usage, but is there any exception or ability for an age specific, like minors or under the age of 16?
Not to my knowledge. I know there was some exemptions in regards to trails. They carved out in the initial omnibus bicycle bill. I don't believe that there's anything in regards to age.
Okay. So then I have one more question. Could we go back one slide? Is that okay? Because I really appreciate this conversation, right? I do. I hear a lot about it as well, right? And I think, we just talked earlier about safety. Safety of our students is a priority. Now it gets not necessarily tricky, but maybe a little bit tricky, right? When it's outside of school hours, or we're looking at, parents saying, hey, I've made this investment and this is my child's form of transportation. So what other form of transportation will my student have? So I'm really looking at that second bullet point, explore RUSD restrictions. Could you give some examples of some things you guys are thinking that might be beneficial, or?
I haven't done the level of research into what other school districts. I've heard lots of rumors. I am aware that it's been done. There are schools, districts, and schools that are and I believe it's a wide variety of different types of regulations. And so it could be, hey, no K through 8. We're not going to have any Class 2 at K through 8. It could be, depending on what, and maybe it's something where we come back and come with options, or once we get a sense. I didn't want to get the cart before the horse at all. It was really just more of an informational kind of discussion. But yes, there's lots of options out there. It could be, based off the data, I could see a K through 8 up to that 15-year-old age, where maybe it's a Class 2 ban, maybe it's a full e-bike ban. The laws right now, like I talked about at the beginning, they haven't maybe caught up all the way with the technology. It's not the scooters that are the challenge, if I'm being 100% honest, but those are the ones that are currently, the vehicle code is clear about. And so I'm really just, like I said, looking to have the discussion, and I'm willing to do whatever type of research with Superintendent Stock and recommendations, or but really just answer any questions you have.
Well, I just have to say I'm so appreciative that we have an opportunity to have you come and speak directly and say, hey, here's what I'm seeing. Here's what's affecting your students and this age range of population here in Rocklin. And so I want you to know, even though I have questions, I so appreciate the concern being brought to us, because ultimately I think we do all want to work together to keep students safe. The only other thought I had, just as and I appreciate this coming as an info item so I can see school hours, it looks like commute to school from school is where you're seeing more of the incidents. That was interesting for me to hear tonight, because my mind, as I see, okay, explore RUSD restrictions, I was wondering, are we talking about just students and their transportation to and from school, or are we talking all hours of the day? 8 p.m., 9 p.m., I think that would be incredibly difficult, right, for RUSD to navigate or restrict. I didn't know if that was a question coming to the board, because I know we've worked really well together to try to educate families and educate our students and educate our communities, and we're hearing that's helped, but it's not doing enough. So when we're talking restrictions, I'm hearing more transportation to and from school, not necessarily those evening hours. Is that correct?
That's correct, and I have a theory that it might not be in the first year that we see a big change, but if there was some sort of regulation and we were able to blast it out to all the parents and get everyone on the same page with what's acceptable and what's not allowed on campus and everything else, I don't know that a lot of the parents are going to make the same investment into a Class 2 e-bike if they're not allowed to, their child isn't allowed to ride it to school. And so maybe they go to one of the more safer options, and so that's how it affects hours outside of the to and from. That's a theory, but that's what I imagine. I just put myself in that position, and I'm probably not going to spend that type of money on a piece of technology like that if it doesn't get them back and forth. So I'm going to go to a Class 1, which is safer, or I'm going to buy an old traditional bicycle and say, you know, burn some calories. So that's what I imagine.
Can I ask one more? The questions
You can
you're
ask me
getting
things
at
either.
town halls, right? And I know it might be hard to know. I'm getting a lot of the concerns with e-bikes. I'm not getting the parents of the students themselves. I'm getting frustrated community members, which are equally important. I want to hear more from parents that have actually purchased these for their students. Have you guys heard that maybe at a city level? Have you heard that demographic engaging at all?
We have. I would say there's mixed reviews, and especially some of the ones that maybe were cited. They were less than pleased, but overall, I think that, and it's certainly become a little more intense, I would say, over the last few months, or maybe this school year than in past years. It keeps building, I feel like, and there's a greater concern by everybody, including the parents, because they're seeing things, you know, on social media, and they're seeing it with their own two eyes as some of these kids are going through, and they might not believe it's their own child, but they're seeing the behavior of some of the students, and I think coming to the opinion that something needs to be done.
Can I ask Bill McDonald a question? Deputy Superintendent of Elementary. I know that there are some elementary schools that have already put some restrictions in place for having these scooters and bikes on campus. Can you talk about that a little bit?
So as elementary team and principals, we talked last year, because this has become a problem at some sites. It's actually mostly, as you saw in the data we shared with you, a Whitney Ranch problem. So we're seeing a lot of bike usage up in, you know, Quarry Trail, Sunset Ranch, some at Twin Oaks. So we developed a guideline to put in the student handbook, and essentially our guidelines are exactly what Chief Banks has shared. So we said, this is the law, this is a Class 1, 2, 3. Class 2 and 3 is not allowed by law, and neither are e-scooters, and we expect you to follow the law. And that actually has been helpful with parents being educated and not having them on campus. But of course, there's the issue of if kids bring bikes to school, are we in the position to say, well, that's 3 and that's a 2 and that's a 1, and we're not really. So that's where it falls apart a little bit. But I do think it really helps just to educate parents about what the law is.
I will, but then later.
Okay. We are 100% behind you and appreciate this partnership so much that we have with our city council and with our police department. And we want to partner with you and look for opportunities to work together. I want to share, this is tricky because this is largely not a school problem. These kids are 24/7. And I spoke with both our Granite Oaks principal this week and our Springview principal this week, and I tried to really understand their perspective. Our Springview principal was so grateful for the SRO help that she's had. Jessie is out there, and to share with my colleagues, most days they are asking their students to walk their bikes across the crosswalk, and mostly that's happening, which is fantastic. Jay is doing his best. I mean, we're talking, you know, over 150 bikes some days. He is really doing his best. It is really, really challenging, and both of them are feeling like they don't have the capacity to take this on, of course, by themselves, right? So I'm wondering if this, you know, I don't know if you and Mr. Flowers have talked about this. Is this a place, is the safety committee a place where we could, you know, really deep dive into some possible solutions. What can we do to move forward with the specifics that would be helpful for our sites?
We could definitely start there, but I mean, in all honesty, we've been having this conversation for the past year. A lot of their education has taken place, as Dr. McDonald said, out in that Whitney Ranch area, and specifically with Principal Homes. So we've done as much as we can to this point. So, but the safety committee would be great. Obviously, Chief Banks is invited to that. If not, his team is there. So we could definitely have that conversation.
Just a few randoms. And I know probably more in touristy cities or college cities. Do we have limes, birds? We don't have. Do we have any of those services hanging out in Rocklin? So that's so that e-scooter, slider, credit card, get it.
Yeah, not to my knowledge, no.
So like to hopefully keep it that way. So
Yeah.
anything we can do to help you there, I like those. Those things are.
You're going to start a business. So.
Okay, that's fine. All right. And then I know there's some parks, I've seen a small, no e-bike, no thing. Do we have more of those? And relatively small signs, but love to see if we can.
We do, and that's one of the exemptions from 1909 was there were certain places that we were allowed to restrict e-bike usage. So you'll see signs throughout the city on a few of our trails, the parks, the pump track for sure. And so wherever we've been able to, we have restricted and put those signs. But
what I'm wondering, because I'm hearing some safety concern, which I think we all have, and I've seen now a list of limitations to increasing safety with these bikes and scooters right now. Safety committee, I don't know if it's the 2x2 committee, maybe it's a combination of both, but I think, the resources, that's a big issue. I think if we are to just kind of take this in and acknowledge it and keep things exactly as they are, we, I don't believe have the ability to keep things safe around our campuses. I think probably most adults in this room have seen some kind of e-bike or e-scooter situation that looks unsafe. I know I've seen two now, car versus e-bike. It's happening. And, even this ideal, 2027 situation to have kind of an option potentially, or this 5-year pilot, data collection process, like that's a long interim period of time with just, I think, a trend of purchasing these vehicles that's just increasing. And so I do think I would like to come away from this with something that feels concrete in kind of how this conversation is going to move forward. Because it's difficult to monitor. You look at a bike, you don't really know from looking at it what it is. And then if these students bring bikes that are illegal, like, 11 to 15, none of them are drivers. And then what happens? Like, what responsibility do we hold? I would never venture to say that we would have any place to impose like an all the time restriction on e-bikes, right? But I mean, this is that area of Park and Sunset, like going toward Granite Oaks, it's huge. That's not on campus, but they're going to school, right? So if we can find a way to do our part, and then parents take over and, they do their part with how they decide, if we don't have these e-vehicles on campus, we're just saying we can't have them on campus. We're not saying you can't buy them. We're not saying you can't use them. But chances are it's going to decrease traffic to campus if they're not allowed to be on campus. So I just, I don't know what the temperature is with everyone else, but this is an imminent, currently happening safety concern that affects our students and the community at large.
I agree with you. Tell me a little bit more about, from the elementary standpoint, if we this week send out as a minimum something similar to what they'd send out to the elementary parents, to the secondary parents, and say, hey, we need to let you know, these are the legal, right? These are class 1, class 2, class 3, educate our parents, then what can you as police officers do? Can you go to the campus and ticket those illegal bikes that are there?
Absolutely, and we have.
Okay.
And yeah,
Does it come with a fine? Like, I know Folsom has a $1,000 fine.
We do have fines associated with it, but we really did. We started with a verbal warning. We went to a written warning, and then we progressed through. And in the extreme ones, we have, like I said, up to and even towed the bicycles or e-motorcycles. So yes, those are options that we have, and we've done that. I think it's the class 2 e-bike is the challenge here, and that we don't have the ability, unless there's some sort of irresponsible behavior, they somehow violate a vehicle code. We have to treat that like any other bicycle, and that is what we're seeing on social media. That it's not the scooters, which I can certainly write tickets for. The e-motorcycles, that is something that we are very proactive towards. Those are the ones with no pedals at all. But it's the class 2s that are the challenge.
Yeah.
Because those are absolutely allowed currently.
I do see that as a potential quick, not solution, but something we could do to, educate our parents and also maybe consider making it hurt a little bit more. If you're driving a bike to school that's illegal, I mean, that's something quick. As we maybe look to have a committee meeting with some more specific options that we can explore.
A quick question. The class differences, how easily recognizable to the eye is that? I'm thinking, right, if it was something that was, hey, this higher level that we're seeing the incidences with and we have the concern with, I'm just thinking to add one more thing, right, onto a staff member to say, okay, you're going out and checking to see, are there e-bikes out there? Is it very easily recognizable, the difference between the 2 or the 3?
It is, yeah. So it's the throttle. That's the big deal. So just like a motorcycle, we call it an e-bike, but it's very similar to a motorcycle where there's either a twist or a thumb throttle on these e-bikes. And so you can look down. By the way, any sort of compliance or checking, I would certainly offer up to be shoulder to shoulder with our SROs. We're doing that with you. That wouldn't be something that we just say, hey, this is all on you. We partner and our SROs would be doing all of that with you, would play a very active role. But yes, you can look down at a class 2, which again, that is the biggest concern of mine, and you can immediately recognize it. And probably not as it's driving 30 miles an hour down the road from 100
But
feet.
stored on a campus, it would be easily recognizable.
Correct.
So
Immediately.
I'd really like to work together. I really think, I appreciate you highlighting this is a concern. It may not be happening on campus, but it is happening within the time frame of transportation to and from campus. I'm still slightly a little concerned. I'd want to know a little bit more about the 200 students that use this as their mode of transportation. Do they have other viable options for transportation? But for time sensitivity, I have a thought. Our next board meeting is October 15th. The safety committee meets before that, October 13th. I really just have a couple questions I feel I would need some answers to, and maybe the safety committee could make a recommendation. One, unless you know it right now, AB 1909, does it prevent, I know it prevents city ordinances, does it prevent schools from enacting any policy? I'd want to make sure we get that clear from our lawyer. To your knowledge, it does not?
To my knowledge, it does not.
Okay, but if we could get clarification on that, just to make sure and confirm. And then also some sort of, by the October 13th, what have other schools done in the state of California, if there's other schools that have done something, and then have the safety committee look at it and possibly make a recommendation. Thoughts on that? It still helps us meet a time-sensitive goal, bring something before the board on the 15th. Just a thought there, because again, I do want to work with you. I just want to resolve those couple pieces first.
Trustee Sadoff, we would, if we were to put an item on the October 15th agenda, we're required to post that the Friday before the safety committee meets, so it would really be an open-ended item to take action on e-bikes, and it wouldn't have any specificity in it. which typically the board requests of our items. So that the other options could be, there could be a potential subcommittee of the safety committee that could look at this to try to meet an October 15th board meeting, or it could be brought back at a November meeting, but just the turnaround time on that and the Brown Act requirements wouldn't allow us to do that.
So again, just thinking out loud. I know from a carpool standpoint, we have carpool-only lanes for certain periods of time. I'm just thinking proximity to schools, again, thinking out loud and you knock it down. Is there any way to say within X amount of feet of a school or in certain areas at certain times, you can only walk bikes? It doesn't fix the whole thing, but at least I know, like you said, you said for Springview, we've at least, we've had some great history with walking bikes around.
Springview is doing walking across the crosswalk, as well as if you come back on campus for like a wrestling or a football or basketball, they're asking all e-bikes and scooters to be walked as well.
So that would be more administrative, and that's kind of where I think like 1909 doesn't really address whatever regulations are here. I have to go by the vehicle code.
Right.
And so that's the challenge.
And I hear it because it's the same vehicle code that you can't have 2 kids in a car until you're 17 or something.
Right.
But yet 2 kids can 13-year-old can hop on a bike with a with flip-flops on and they haul down the street. I hear the frustration. I see it all the time in the neighborhood.
Yeah, I would also just like to add, and we do have this form that goes home to parents already with links from Rocklin PD about the e-bikes, but when I talked to Amy Westberg at Sierra about the policy to not have these e-vehicles, I asked her what was the response and how did she do that, and she said it was a matter of just letting the school community know that she, actually didn't realize that there were so many restrictions on, scooters and e-bikes, and took a couple days of her waiting out at the racks and reminding them, oh, you can't bring this. I'm gonna have to have your parent pick it up. And she said the response was no negative response. And I'm sensitive to transportation, but 2 years ago, people were finding other ways, right? I think the safety, hopefully, will be the priority, and I think people have ways to be flexible.
I agree. So, what can we do to? It's so hard to think, nothing until November. Do you have a suggestion for us?
If the board would like to have a follow-up item on October 15th, then I would then request that the board give direction for us to have a subcommittee of the safety committee. We can update the safety committee on October 13th, but so there is an opportunity over the next few weeks to try to work with some of the safety committee members and Rocklin Police Department to come up with what options might look like, and then we could report back to the board on these are options, considerations, these are what it would take in a sense if on option A, for example, this is what it might look like, here's what we would need in terms of resources or whatever around that. So we can come back to the board with some options that we develop jointly and then allow the board to discuss those. And then, this is where I want to understand from a little more direction from the board on, is there so if we report back October 15th, then we could either then have action in November in regards of allowing the board to discuss those options that are developed and then look at how that might occur. If the board's wanting an action item on October 15th, then we can work and bring it in that way. So it's just, would you prefer another information item in October with potential action November? Would you prefer an action item in October?
Would it be feasible to maybe receive a BC to the board from RPD with having heard maybe some of the support, of course support, but also some possible concerns, some recommendations from RPD to RUSD and it be given to the board via a BC for time sensitivity, so we can see if there's any viable options that we could realistically make happen before October 15th. My only hesitation with adding an action item to October 15th is our safety committee won't have met. We won't have been able to talk to each other again. Not hearing options tonight, I greatly appreciate the opportunity to just have an open dialogue. But it's hard for me to go to parents and ask them if they like the options if I don't know what options we're considering. So I'm trying to find a way that I can talk to parents about some options.
We can work, given that we're about a month away from October 15th board meeting, we can work in the next couple weeks with a subcommittee to develop options, share those with the board via memorandum, and so the board's aware of where that conversation's headed, and then we can, I can work with the board president regarding agenda setting of, given the options we've come up with, is this ready for an action item, or is this more of a information to allow the board to have more questions answered, because you all may have more questions once we share those with you, and then can get kind of final direction that way. As I'm looking at Mr. Flowers and Chief Banks, because those will be the primary folks helping us with these conversations.
Do you need a motion for a subcommittee?
No, I don't, because it would be part of our safety committee, which exists, so we would work to, utilize members from that as well, to just make sure we're not missing. And we may include, for example, like Granite Oaks administration, because they seem to be the epicenter, according to our data, of where all the e-bikes in town are at.
Okay.
Yeah, and if I could just say too, I do think it's important that we weight pretty heavily. We have our chief of police here at our board meeting making a request of us to help him with a safety issue. And so I do think it's important that we weigh that heavily and we find a solution that could work for both parties.
Yeah.
So trustees, just to summarize, we'll get a subcommittee working, report back via memorandum in the next couple weeks, and then we'll work to see on October 15th if it's ready for information or action, and then go from there.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. We have one public comment, but you are dismissed. Welcome to stay. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much for the discussion, and I would just look forward to continuing the really amazing partnership that we have. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Ms. Gallardo, would you come up and you've got 2 minutes and share with us your public comment, please.
Thank you. Thank you for having us here. I'm Jill Gallardo, honored to serve as the mayor of the city of Rocklin, and very proud of my chief of police. We also have our city manager here today, Ms. Zimmerman, and Councilmember Broadway, because this is so important to us. I love that we're all here together because this is a team and this is what we have to do. I have an e-bike. I just hit 1,100 miles. I love it. I thoroughly enjoy seeing kids riding a legal e-bike, and I think that's where the message needs to be clear. We completely support legal e-bikes, but we're having injuries. We've had 2 serious injuries in the last 2 weeks. Right, the very serious one that was on Sunday, and we had one right in front of City Hall recently. This is critical. We have to do something together. So I think it's just really important for them to see that we're here as a team. I will remind you, I heard on the news the other day, it's 100 days till Christmas. Let's get that message out. Legal e-bikes, not legal, because I think that was the part we've got to educate people to understand. We're not saying e-bikes are bad. We're saying illegal for students. And absolutely, if we talked about pilot, it's our middle school kids. That's where we're seeing this issue. So let's do something, everything. Let's do everything. Because in my school bus world, I will tell you, when you had minor incidents, that we knew what's coming next. That's my warning that something bad's going to happen. So I appreciate so much that you guys have us here. Hopefully that gives the message to the city. We're a team, and we're going to find a way to work around this. We want kids to ride bikes. We want people to ride legal e-bikes. It's a great way to get to school. Let's get rid of the ones and the behaviors that is going to get someone seriously hurt. So,
yes.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. All right, item 10.2, Hannah Anderson, Director of Innovation, School Programs and Accountability, will now present the revised board policies and administrative regulations.
Good evening, President Price, trustees, Superintendent Stock. This fall, Rocklin Unified School District was selected by the California Department of Education to participate in federal program monitoring. Our district was selected for 10 instruments for this review. For context, in 2019, we were selected for 5 instruments, so this will be a very large review that we're undertaking this fall, but we are up for the opportunity and ready to grow and learn throughout the fall, working with the California Department of Education. As part of this process, the CDE will be looking at several board policies and administrative regulations. This is a regular part of the review process. The included board policies and administrative regulations tonight are updates as a result of changes in the law and government regulations related to monitoring for Title I programs, such as the inclusion of the local control and accountability plan alignment, changes to discipline regulations, updates to the types of services, including transportation afforded to foster youth, and updates to the transfers of students to and from Victory High School. These policies and regulations are listed as information tonight and will be brought back to trustees in October for action. We'll follow a similar cadence throughout the fall in order to bring for action all of the policies that will be part of this review. At this time, I'm happy to answer any questions that trustees may have.
Thank you so much. Do my colleagues have questions? Seeing none. Your night is easy. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
We'll now open agenda item 11.1, public comment on non-agenda items. We want to remind everyone that this agenda item is given to anyone in attendance an opportunity to address the board on non-agenda items within the jurisdiction of the school district. The board is not permitted to deliberate or take action on non-agenda items, but may refer the matter to a staff member for follow-up. A complaint about a specific employee of the district shall be made to that employee's administrative immediate supervisor or the principal as required by Administrative Regulation 1312.1. Okay, so when you approach the podium, please restate your name, the city you live, and the schools that your children attend. You will have 2 minutes to address the board. All comments must be respectful. Please, no profanity. We first invite Carrie Phantom, and on deck will be Nicole Young.
Hi, my name is Carrie Phantom. My kids actually are graduates now, or graduated, and they did go to WISCA, and I live in Loomis. I'm here to voice my objection to a public school board holding a moment of silence for a Christian nationalist podcaster who said so many hurtful things about our LGBT community, people of color, and women, among other marginalized groups. You need to stop bringing your Destiny brand of religion into our public schools. Jocelyn Correa, Oscar Herrera, Raimundo Fernandez, Delanio Vick, Timothy Williams, Camus Campbell, Robert Morales, Chiru Chaba, Isaiah Caldwell, Yvette Jeffrey, Tyke Plummer, Kelsey Martin, Haley Helms, Damari Harrell, Michael Lamott, Fletcher Markle, Harper Moisky, Melissa Hartman, Mark Hartman, Gilbert. I think it's worth it. It's worth it to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. That's a prudent deal. Charlie Kirk. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Carrie. We'll now hear from Nicole Young, and on deck will be Brooke McKeon.
Hi, I'm Nicole. Whataboutism is the language of fools, so I won't be doing that. What a sad world we are living in, where people are upset over an acknowledgement of one of the most influential young men we have seen in a long time. And I believe the point that's being missed, ironically, is that this young man, barely older than my oldest son, was killed over his words. The celebration of his death right here in our own community has shaken me to my core. It's opened my eyes to the truth. We don't just agree to disagree anymore. These people want those with opposing viewpoints wiped off the earth. Charlie Kirk has always been a rage magnet because he represented something that those in opposition couldn't process. Not just something they didn't have an answer for, but something they didn't even have the framework to understand. A genuine, grounded, honest man. A man who was secure in himself and his beliefs. A man who lived with a strong internal compass and his own sense of ethics. He didn't use hate speech. He used speech they hated. Peoples whose identities are tied to doctrine and dogma can't comprehend that kind of person. They don't know what it means to have an internal identity. They assume, as they do, that everyone else is hollow inside, lacking structure, lacking a sense of self. And to pretend this isn't dangerous, to shrug it off, that's to ignore the precedent that's been set. The same people driving around with coexist stickers and shouting love wins are showing us they want the exact opposite. Free speech is supposed to be a fundamental right in this country. It should never be silenced or chilled. But the amount of hate, division, and religious bigotry I see hurled at people who simply believe differently, it terrifies me for the future of this nation. In just 20 years, we went from equal rights for all to bake me a cake, bigot, to say something I don't like and you deserve death. If we can't admit that our kids need to see the First Amendment lived out by those in authority, we are going down a very dark road. Disagree with me? Fine. That's your right, but you don't get to shut out the discussion. I'll leave you with my favorite quote from one of the greatest women.
Thank you so much. Brooke McKeon, and on deck we have Dayton Smith. Is Brooke not here? Oh, okay, sure. Oh, I am so sorry. Let's see here if I can find that. Yep, that was 6, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, first we have Austin. Okay.
Good evening, board members. I'd first like to express how grateful I am to be a part of such a great district. I've met some of you, but for those who I have not, my name is Austin Bancari, and I'm the vice president of the student body at Whitney High School. I'm here tonight, along with some other Whitney students, to bring up a serious issue that will impact nearly every student on our campus. For those who don't know, the teachers at Whitney High School are actively protesting their low pay. Out of all the districts in our area, Rocklin Unified School District teachers are one of the lowest paid, while the administrators are one of the highest paid. In response to this pay inequality, teachers have begun working strictly to their contracted hours and nothing more. Their contract hours, which requires teachers to arrive 30 minutes before school, stay 30 minutes after school, and gives them an unpaid lunch break, leaves no time allotted for club meetings and very limited time to receive the extra help many of us students rely on. Up until now, teachers have been generously giving up their own unpaid time to assist students and help run club meetings. But now they are unable to do that until a fair agreement is met. While this may seem like a dispute between the union and the district, the students who you are entrusted to serve are facing the consequences. Due to the teachers working strictly contract hours, it is nearly impossible to find a teacher to be a club advisor, resulting in clubs practically ceasing to exist. Yet the blame for this doesn't fall on teachers, but instead our district. Whitney is home to some truly amazing teachers who sacrifice so much of their own time to help students like me succeed. They have one of the most important jobs in the world, yet that is not reflected in their pay. Therefore, we side with the teachers and urge the district to come to an agreement with the union to raise pay. Until that happens, we will continue to face the consequences. Consequences that are having real-life detrimental effects on my high school experience. I would now like to allow other leaders on our campus to come up and share their personal experiences with this issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Austin. We'll hear from Catherine Jameson, and then is it Pranathi Sudaharshan?
Good evening, and I wanted to first start off by saying how grateful I am for you guys giving me your time tonight. My name is Catherine Jameson, and I am currently serving as Commissioner of Student Life for Whitney High School for the 2nd year. My role includes not only building culture and inclusivity on our campus, but monitoring and supporting upwards of 80 clubs throughout the school year. Many of our events, such as our first week field day, the various awareness events we host, or Club Rush, which happens tomorrow, rely heavily on the generous contributions of time and enthusiasm from our teachers. Because Rocklin Unified School District's school board has failed to prioritize our teachers' salaries, teachers have been forced into a position where they can no longer support the community they have spent years building for their students. As Austin mentioned, most teachers are no longer willing to spend unpaid hours on an inadequate salary to provide the support that has built our campus from the ground up. We support their cause and their push for more appropriate salaries, even as it continues to affect us. This year, I have the responsibility of monitoring 90 clubs, a record number much higher than I saw my previous year in this position. They may have the title and the hard work poured into their club structure, but without the teachers and advisors who have opened their doors to these clubs in the past, we have no clubs and no club culture. Our campus is nothing without the students and diversity that represent it, which is why my peers and I come here today, not to ask, but to implore you to pay our teachers the salary they have been due for far too long. Our teachers are the backbone for more than just a fair education. They are the forces responsible for cultivating a safe space within our schools and sharing their time to give students the experiences they desire, and without them, we are nothing. The board must commit to coming to an agreement with our educators on fair pay, a salary that encompasses their impact on our schools that exceeds education. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, is it Pranathi? Okay, good. Come on up. And then on deck will be Willis Brame.
Good evening, board members. Thank you for your time. My name is Pranathi Sudarshan, and I'm currently serving as the Spirit Commissioner at Whitney High School for the second year. My role is to help create events that build better school culture and unite students and staff. But this year, that's been incredibly difficult. Due to the positions they have been put in by the district, teachers are working strictly within their contracted hours. This means no lunch meetings, no after-school support, and no participation in events that require extra time. As Spirit Commissioner, we were excited to introduce a teacher dance at our homecoming rally this year, an idea meant to build connection and highlight the roles teachers play in shaping our campus culture. Due to the teachers' limited contracted hours, this idea was unattainable. But it's not just school-wide events. Across the district, students are being told to showcase their leadership, initiative, and involvement. But the opportunities to do that are disappearing due to the lack of teacher involvement in clubs. This isn't a complaint about our teachers. It's a call to action for the district. Our teachers are undervalued. They're asking for a fair compensation and reasonable contracts. And until that happens, our students will continue to lose the very valuable experiences that make high school meaningful for them. As board members of many career-driven clubs, including Student Doctors Club, I can assure you these clubs aren't just extracurriculars. They serve as the backbone of our college apps, our passions, and the legacies we hope to leave as Whitney students. We hope that the board will act, not just for our teachers, but for every student whose high school experience depends on them. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Willis Brame, and on deck is Dayton Smith.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for having me here. My name is Willis Brame, and I'm a senior at Whitney High School and the president of the Black Student Union Club. Tonight, I'm here not just in advocacy for increased wages for teachers, but I'm also here to share my experiences as a community member and the district's impacts on me. As I've said, I'm currently the president of BSU Black Student Union on campus. This club's purpose is and always has been about inclusivity and bringing people together from all parts of the community in an attempt to unify. We have helped at events such as the Martin Luther King Day parades and events like the Juneteenth celebrations. But these events cannot have been achieved or completed without the dedication and help of these teachers. Teachers that have said yes to us using their classrooms during lunch hours in order to plan events and socialize. Teachers that have said yes to helping us organize events in their own time when they are not paid. Members of the district, this is not just a plea or me spending time telling you about things that you may already know, but is an ask for help. As members of the community, we ask that you see the impacts that these teachers have made on our communities inside and outside of the classroom. Even when it hasn't benefited them, we ask that you see the great impacts a salary raise will lead to in bettering this community. I would like to leave with a message from a quote from a Democratic senator of New Jersey, Cory Booker. Quote, "America's teachers are constantly being asked to do more and more without any significant increase in their compensation and often at their own expense. Educators are unsung heroes of our society, but they cannot feed their families or pay their bills without heroism. They need and deserve our support." End quote. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have Brooke McKeon. Oh, Dayton, I'm sorry. Brooke, you're on deck.
Good evening, members of the school board. First, I'd like to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak here. My name is Dayton Smith, and I'm a senior at Whitney High School. And I'm here tonight because I am the president of the hiking club. As my fellow students have made you aware, the conflict over our teachers' pay is making it very difficult for us to continue our club culture at the moment. This is true even more so for a club like mine. As I'm sure you can guess, the main thing we do is go on hikes. Yet due to the very nature of this, it's often difficult to gather all of our members for every hike we put on, whether that be due to scheduling, the length of the hike, or whatever else. Thankfully, we, like the majority of other clubs on campus, hold meetings during lunchtime. And these meetings are crucial because we use them to plan upcoming hikes, as well as to bond and strengthen our community, especially with those who maybe couldn't have made it out to the previous hike. In fact, we have a substantial number of members who seldom come on hikes, if at all, and yet they still come to every lunchtime meeting and contribute to our community just as much. Hiking club is not a large one to begin with, and without our lunchtime meetings, it's likely that we will struggle to keep our culture going as our only guaranteed time together is taken from us. And this story is the same for countless other small clubs on campus. They aren't just clubs, they're communities. They're safe spaces for students to connect and share time with other like-minded individuals. And it's these communities that are being denied their only time together. This is why I'm urging you, on behalf of myself and countless other clubs at Whitney, to please come to an agreement with the union to raise pay for our teachers because they deserve it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dayton. Brooke?
Good evening, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you all tonight. My name is Brooke McKean, and I'm a senior at Whitney High School, and I've become very involved with different organizations at my school, such as broadcasting, leadership, as well as several clubs. The club I'm here to speak on today is called Student Visionaries of the Year, and it's the second largest club on our campus. This club started 5 years ago and has raised over $100,000 to support Blood Cancer United's mission of supporting patients and their families in their fight against blood cancer. As a result of the teacher strike against the pay gap, SOI's fundraising efforts will be severely limited. Without the board raising the salaries of teachers, meetings will not be allowed during lunch. Many students have before and after school commitments, which means the only available time to plan our events is during school, which makes it nearly impossible to plan the 3 community fundraising events we do. One is Kill Cancer, one is Strikeout Cancer, and one is Charity Staff Basketball. All 3 of these events draw mass attention towards Blood Cancer United's mission, as well as offer both Whitney High School and Rocklin High School students opportunities to connect. In addition, SOI runs a campaign with 12 of the elementary schools in Rocklin called Bucks for Blood Cancer. This event is an incredible opportunity for elementary school students to get involved with the community and excited about their futures in high school. Clearly, the teacher's salary in our district needs to be raised to allow for clubs like mine to flourish. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brooke. During public comment, we don't typically have a back and forth, but I would like to thank you each for coming. I know you waited a long time to be able to speak for your 2 minutes. We appreciate what you shared. You all did a really wonderful job. I also want to be sure that I share with you that our board does hear you. We see you. We recognize what clubs mean to a campus and to a student experience. I have a junior at Rocklin that is experiencing the same things. So I feel it, I see it. As a board, we also prioritize our teachers, and we want them to be as well paid as possible. I have asked Superintendent Stock to at least give you a small amount of information about maybe where our teachers are ranked. According to other things, I know you sat through 3.5 hours of a meeting, and one of the things that you heard was how complex our budgets are, right? They're really complex. We have a certain amount of money. We're obviously not fundraising, right? So it is something that I think he can shed a little bit of light on, but also I know any of the 5 of us would be happy to speak with you afterwards, or you're welcome to reach out to us individually. Thank you again.
Just again, want to compliment the students on just how well spoken. I mean, you are a great advertisement for Rocklin Unified Education. So just sincerely thank you for that and for participating in the civic process. So the way collective bargaining works with between public agencies, school districts, and unions is a process where we each make offers. Our school board has actually authorized the district. We all agree that we want to increase teacher compensation, and the school board's authorized the district to make an offer, which has been presented to the teachers union in May. The union has also made an offer to the district as well, and as you heard in the meeting tonight, those offers are significantly apart, and so the district did offer during the summer to bring in a third-party mediator to assist the sides in trying to reach agreement, and that has not been agreed to by the teachers union. So we do want to. We think we all want to resolve this as quickly as we can. And that's important. We all share the goal of increasing compensation, and it's just within what the district can afford. The other pieces is teachers are free to absolutely work to contract. That's their legal right. We honor that. We know that our teachers are incredible. We know they work through the summer. We know they do incredible things for students. I know that personally. My wife and daughter are teachers. And so we don't want to diminish in any way what teachers do for students and the impact they have. However, if many places, negotiations around contracts can take, sometimes they can be very short, other times they can take months. And in some school districts, they haven't even begun contract negotiations for the current year. And so all those processes are different. Sometimes they're faster here, and sometimes they take longer. But the fact that teachers have made an individual decision to say we're only going to work to contract, we're not going to do things beyond that, is their absolute right. So if they choose not to sponsor a club at this time or to do extra things, that's their right. However, not all other unions or places do staff take that option when they're in the midst of negotiations. So it is absolutely their right, their choice. But it is something that, again, we want to conclude negotiations, so we are actively doing so. They've made an offer, we've made an offer, and we have shared an interest in bringing in a third party to help us resolve this as quickly as we can. And we will continue to work towards that, and we trust that the union will as well, because we have a shared goal. It's just, as you saw the finances, many of you are seniors, you're in economics, you can see that that's the challenge we have is related to that. And so we are happy to continue to answer questions. We appreciate you sharing your perspective and how much you value your teachers, and we share that as well.
Thank you so much. Our last public comment is will be from Dara Warner.
Good evening. My name is Dara Warner, and I live in Rocklin, and I have a daughter who's a junior at Whitney High School. I want to start by thanking President Price, Mr. Flowers, and Ms. Kukuzi for their prompt responses to my inquiries and quick action to resolve my concerns this week. The PSAT is normally taken as a junior in high school and meant to be a practice test for the SAT. However, the PSAT NMSQT version is also the only qualifying test allowing students to be eligible for scholarships worth $330 million, consisting of National Merit Scholarship, corporate sponsorships, and college campus scholarships. This year, RUSD is offering the PSAT on October 11th at Whitney High School. Originally, there were 275 spots available, which is approximately 25% of the 11th grade students at Rocklin, Whitney, and Victory High School. My daughter was put on the waiting list, and after many calls and discussions, the district was able to find additional proctors to take all the students off the waiting list. My personal concerns have been addressed, but as the saying goes, see something, say something. We need to do better for the RUSD students. I'm here today to ask the board and district to put college board testing as a future agenda item, or at the least put a committee together to review what our district's current policy is. I personally contacted over 20 high schools from Reno to the Bay Area to get my daughter a spot at a test center. I had the pleasure of speaking with many different schools, and they all administer the test in a different fashion. The district needs to say without a doubt the process that RUSD has in place is the best process for our students. I personally think there is more we can do. Students and parents should be informed as to what the PSAT is. It isn't just a practice test. There is significant money available. All students in 11th grade who want to take the test should have access, not an arbitrary 25% of students. The test should be offered once on a weekend and at least once. Collaborate with other schools that don't offer the test, like 12 Bridges, to assist with proctors. You can put my name at the top of the list to assist in the review of our current policy, but we do need to review the policy. I think I'm not the spot. Mrs. Del Lago does have a spot available on October 30th.
I think we've got everybody. We have everyone in Rocklin Unified signed up now, and we are ready to go, but I appreciate so much the amount of time that you spent and how you helped us. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Our board bylaws require 2 trustees to place an item on the agenda. Trustees, do you have any items to discuss for consideration on the pending agenda? Okay, seeing none, then our meeting is now adjourned to closed session.